Hello. Is there anybody out there? Keep a chill out. Sorry if anyone's listening. I've got a dog walking circles around the damn table. I shall... Oh, hiya, Green Eyes. How are you? And what the actual... Referring to your message from before. What the fuck? This is what happens when I'm not coming on. I miss all the good stuff and all the crazy stuff. So I'm hoping you've calmed down a little bit. You're not feeling as I was going to say like you want to commit a murder. Hi, Danny. Still at work, but I'll be listening in. Oh, brilliant. Good to see you as always. Yeah, and Coop. Yeah, he's lying on my feet at the moment. He's just been walking round and round the table. So it's not going to be a mega long one, but because I have promised to do the War of the Roses. Hi, Helen. Hiya, Kathy. Hello. Welcome. Come in, grab a seat, make yourselves comfy. How are you feeling, Helen? Got it. Helen has got COVID again. And I just can't believe you look, babe. I really can't. But as I said, you know, I was saying about my boss, and her husband is a head of a primary school, and he just keeps coming home, and he's had it twice now, and my boss has had it 3 times, and they're both vaccinated, but he's just bringing it home from school, and it keeps happening when it's a holiday, like yourself. So yeah, tonight I thought I'll come on. I've had a mare of a day trying to get things moved in this other house. Not doing as much as I'd hoped. I did take the dog with me. Bad idea, because he was lying on things I was trying to load up into Porky's car. So I'm just like, what? So I'm going to have to go on it tomorrow. He's staying at home with him tomorrow, and I'm just going to go back and crack on myself. But I thought, oh, come on, because I know I promised I'd do some War of the Roses. This isn't the War of the Roses. It's just a little bit of a chit chat about Richard III, because I love Richard III, and it leads in nicely to a lot of that conflict. But I'll try not to make it too boring for anybody who's not a history fanatic. Screen, I said, they all have it at my hubby's work. He's the only one not vaccinated and hasn't got it. Yeah, I'm the same, Green Eyes. Helen, I can't believe it. I feel like crap again. Fecky nightmare. I'm triple vaxxed, but here I am with it again. It's bananas, isn't it? It's absolutely bananas. Like I said, I'm not vaxxed. I've been in a car with people, and they all one of them must have been infected. Well, they were infected. Everybody in that vehicle got it, but not me. And I was the only one who wasn't vaxxed anyway. But, you know, coincidence, I don't know. I really don't know. I could just have an immunity to it. I don't know. But it's weird how some people are getting it again and again, like yourself. So I'm really sorry you're having to go through that, Helen. But it's like Sid, isn't it? Sid was, he was testing positive for a whole month. Well, do you know what, Green Eyes? And I know you're saying it's very odd. Most of them have just had the boosters. But I've wondered, do you think that Because there were vaccination shortages initially, weren't there? Now, whether that's still going on or not, I don't know. But I often wonder, do you think a percentage of people are being vaxxed with a placebo? I don't know. Yeah, green eyes. You're the same as me. But so long as you all, whether you get it or not, so long as you all stay healthy, that's the main thing. Hello, Rain Dancer. How are you, my love? Not seen you for a little while. Coughing my lungs up this time. It's more like flu last time. It's weird. It feels different. Well, there's another one, isn't there? Another variant again now. Is it Deltacron? Something like that. So you've had Omicron. We've had the original Delta variant. Now there's this new one, which I might be making that up in my head, but I'm sure I heard it being called Deltacron. It's just mutation after mutation. So, it's the same with the flu vaccine. They can only a lot of people think, they're going to vaccinate you against the flu and you'll be fine, and then they'll get the flu, but they only vaccinate you, and Green Eyes can hopefully back me up on this, being in the medical profession, but it's the most common strain of the flu that year is what they use for the vaccine. And it's the same, any of you who are dog owners. Hiya, Simples. You all right, lovey? Good to see you. It's like when you've got your dog vaccinated for, well, they can, you need to go to doggy daycare or kennels or playgroups or something, they have to be vaxxed against kennel cough. And twice now, I got Cooper, because he was going to doggy daycare, he got his kennel cough vaccine at the vets. It's like something they stick it up the nose. And both times he got kennel cough. And I was like, there's absolutely no point me spending the money getting this done, because he's obviously getting the strain that you're not vaccinating against. What's the fucking point? Oh, you're allergic to it, are you, Green Eyes? Wow. I've never had it, so I don't know. I've not heard of anyone being allergic to it, though, so bloody hell, unfortunate for you. Helen, yeah, I had Omicron at New Year, no coughing or breathlessness, different this time. Not got the awful headache and achy limbs, just coughing my guts up, sneezing and full of snot. Oh no! Yeah, you're right, Rain Dancer, that we are always going to have to live with some version of it. But it's going to be like the flu, isn't it? We'll have some years, I'm just guessing, but we'll have some years where it's absolutely rampant, and then other years where, whether it's due to the weather or what have you, or herd immunity, we'll just have other years where you don't hear of many people getting the flu. It's just this COVID thing is a bit mad, especially with the vaccinations. Some getting it even though they're fully vaccinated. Others like me, not getting vaccinated, not getting it. Yeah. You said the article as to how flawed the PCR tests were. They finally admitted it. No, Green Eyes, I haven't. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not watching television because I know I'll just get distracted when I've got so much to do. Thinking about what we're going to miss. People are getting it 3 months. Yeah. Yes, Helen. I know my boss Ames, they got it for the second time in August, just as they'd booked a holiday beginning of August, had to cancel it. They were due to go away for a month, had to cancel the whole thing. And I was just like, I thought you'd been vaccinated? Yeah, I have. And it's always like yourself, just as they're coming at the end of a school term, her husband will get it and then she'll get it. And she's really hacked off with it now. Oh, have the Green Eyes scrap quarantine over there for close contacts? Do you know what? I didn't know that, Helen, that they have here. Like I said, I've not been reading anything about it or watching anything about it. I mean, I'm kind of relying on Porky because when he wakes up in the morning, he'll stick the news on, so he tells me what's going on in the Ukraine and stuff like that. Or I've had to listen to my dad going off on one about Russia. I don't think we need any more No, we don't, Rain Dancer. And I'll tell you what, we definitely don't need any more shutdowns this damn year, because the last two, so the very first lockdown we had was 5 days before my damn birthday. And then last year, right before my birthday again, we went into another lockdown. So it better not do it this year, because I'm not having the third birthday in a bleeding lockdown. But like we said the other night, nobody's going to pay it any attention. I think it was Sid had said it, and I totally agreed with him. You put us in lockdown again, no one's going to take a blind bit of notice. Oh, thanks, Green Eyes. I'll have a look at it when I finish this. Helen, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad it's now and not Easter. If I think I'd... Oh, lost your mind completely. Oh, no. God. I can't even think how you... No. Doesn't bear thinking about, does it? Especially when the minute that you get rid of it, you're back at school again and then just waiting for one of the little darlings to reinfect you. That's now the new way. It's funny that though, Rain Dancer, because people aren't really wearing them as such here. Having said that, I went shopping yesterday with baby Porky, and me and her went into town, and I was noticing more people wearing masks in the shops, and I was like, okay. Haven't it I don't know why, it just seems to be now, whether it's people being more conscious of it for whatever reason over the last week, but it just seems in this last week, 10 days, I'm seeing more and more people wearing masks outside, even people wearing masks like walking the street, going on a dog walk or what have you. Yeah, I just don't see the point, Green Eyes. I don't see the point. Oh, they admitted the numbers were fudged, the amount of deaths. Those, well, isn't it funny? We got that, and suddenly the flu vanished. There were absolutely no cases of flu whatsoever. How weird. It's just, no. Anyway, I'll save that whinge for another time. Because we don't wear them in school. I haven't worn them out either, but there's been lots of media saying numbers are rising. Yes, now my friend said that to me yesterday. I chatted to her on the phone, and she was saying, oh yeah, they're going up though, the numbers are going up. I said, are they really? And it was just because, and then I noticed all these people around town yesterday with masks on. Rain Dancer says, my daughter-in-law and both granddaughters got it last month. If it's a store or something with crowds, I'll don a mask. Yeah, I feel like I can't breathe when I've got a mask on, Rain Dancer. I do get claustrophobic, and it just makes me start to get short of breath. However, I'm really pissed off with going in a supermarket and having some coughing, spluttering mofo squeezing past me with like 3 centimeters away from my face to get something off the shelf, rather than just saying, pardon me, could I just reach past you? So that's where I'm thinking, maybe I should start wearing masks, especially around supermarkets. Yeah, that's it, Green Eyes. Picking up flu, reporting as COVID. It's funny how worldwide flu vanished. There wasn't a damn case of flu anywhere in the world for the last 2 years. Yeah, isn't it a weird sensation, Rain Dancer? And it is psychological with me. The mask goes over my mouth and my nose, and I suddenly feel that I can't breathe, and I can feel myself going like... Oh, green eyes, my friend was like that every time we'd go out and her glasses were steaming up, and then she's like, put this off. And she ended up, she'd go out with a scarf, like a woolen scarf, because all you have to do is just cover your mouth and your nose. You didn't have to have a mask on. So she'd just put a woolen scarf round. And then she found out that her glasses weren't steaming up that way. So that was what she did. Don't normally when we're busy in supermarket, I'll stick it on. Dirty bastards coughing over you. That's it, green eyes. They are absolutely filthy. I had somebody, she didn't even put a hand over her mouth. And she's come at the side, because I turned around, I said, do you mind? And she looked at me, proper mouth breathing. She's like, I said, do you mind? I said, you're coughing all over me, you dirty cow. And then I can hear, fucking hell, she thinks she is. I'm like, yeah, I'm the person who you've just coughed all over, you filthy bloody pig. Smoke and retain CO2 behind your mask. Suffocation causes anxiety. It does. And even if you're not suffocating, if I just don't feel I've got full airflow, rain dancer, it like I said, I know that it's subconscious, but it causes me to panic. Imagine trying to do your job in one. It was about that was the reason you retired. And Simple's, my friend Maria is a carer, and they still have to wear these masks. And I don't know how she does it. I really don't know how she does it. Hiya, Wickham Way. Can I just check, Wickham Way, is that Burren? I wasn't sure, and I'm thinking, because you came in the other night, didn't you, and then went off, and I'm like, I'm sure that's Burren Witch, but if it's not, correct me. Because I was thinking it's obviously somebody who's a member of the channel, because you're blue, part of the blue crew. Yeah, do you know, I've heard that about the bicarb, green eyes. Having said that, Helen, if you do go on the bicarb, don't take too much, because it caused me to shit my brains out in the middle of the forest. Just saying. Yes, the hour I work, 12 hours in a fucking mask. It's hot enough in those places. I was struggling just wearing it for half an hour. Simples. I just couldn't do it. Oh, it is Burren Witch. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that's you. I wasn't sure because you came in and then vanished. I'm thinking, right, I wonder if it was the internet vanished, in which case it's definitely Burren Witch. You're doing the name change thing, but forgot to change back. No, it's fine. It's fine. I thought it might have been you, but yeah, so long as I know. I'm taking it every day. Half a teaspoon with maple syrup. It alkalizes your system. I've been on it a couple of years, not had a cold or flu. Well, that's a really good tip, green eyes. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just have to go down the more natural routes, don't you? I mean, I swear by apple cider vinegar. Absolutely swear by it. Great stuff. At least you didn't get your face plastered in a thumbnail like Cunty Space Monster did to me. Yeah, what the actual fuck? I listened to that, green eyes. Sorry, everybody. It's in case you know, there's Space Cunster, who is a I'm not even going to say a creator. She uploads, and she's in Australia, and she's got an issue with Ange Wallace, if any of you remember her. I mean, she doesn't come in here, but she's got an issue with Ange Wallace for whatever reason. She's doxing our green eyes. She's used her photo as though she's Ange Wallace. Now, Ange Wallace is a mod on Dirty D's channel. You know, has anybody seen Green Eyes going in there? No, because she thinks she's a knobhead. As do we all. Are you Lady Witch? The world I want is psychopath. Yeah. Yeah. Happy thoughts. Oh, she's been around for a very long time. She was once part of the community many, many moons ago. Not a nice person. Never has been. Yeah, no. Do you know what, Helen? But that's what she's done. She's got an issue with Ange Wallace, but she's decided that our Green Eyes is Ange Wallace. You know, because they're so similar that you know, they both live in Australia. That's like saying, oh God, me and Green Eyes are the same person because we both have tits. So yeah, and obviously the dumb feck, because she's going on and on and on about people going real life and people doxing and people, you know, how she's never wrong on anything. Green Eyes sent me the link and I was listening to it thinking, you absolute cock knocker. She's absolutely a wrong one, Helen. Absolutely. And she's going on, I'm never wrong. I've been on here, blah, 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 and I'm never wrong. Well, you're wrong on this count, aren't you? But yeah, how dare she? How dare she? You know, it's like, have you never listened to Green Eyes speaking? Maybe if you listen to Green Eyes and then listen to Ange Wallace, you'll realise that they're not the same person, but that's too easy. Hiya, Julia, love. Are you all right, chicken? She's a fucking psycho, stuck of her privacy, still waiting for YouTube to take it down. Oh, I'll give it, I'll report it as well, Green Eyes. Ivy did the same, said Andrew. Yeah, she's another one, another knobhead. I mean, yeah, but I mean that one, Green Eyes, she's always on the source. That's exactly it, Burren. She needs to put the bottle down. And that, what's her name? That Space Cunster, she sounds like she's on flipping downers, talking like that. And obviously, I can't do the Australian accent, but I was just like, oh my God, you'd knock a fly off a bucket of shit with boredom with that voice. I never do name changes, still run into a few channels thinking I was a troll. No, well, it's the same here, Rain Dancer. I've got this one account. I can't be bothered. I never even had, you know, a lot of people when I used to be like big time on Twitter, I never had sock accounts. You know, loads of people had different socks, and I never did because I thought I'll just forget. I don't do devious. If I've got something to say, I'm going to say it, and I'll say it under my own name. And if you've got an issue with it, crack on, come and say hello. You're just making your tea. Oh, what you having, Simples? The voice grates through me. Green Eyes, it's the most boring, monotone, slashy wrists voice I've ever heard in my life. And I love the Aussie accent. Love it. Could listen to it all day long, but that one, no. For God's sake, she's a big shit. So she absolutely is Rain Dancer. Absolutely is. So I was actually thinking, oh, wouldn't it be lovely if she'd come in because she hears a name mentioned? I'd go, would you like to come up on panel and discuss why you've got our Green Eyes' photograph as a thumbnail? In that case, though, Green Eyes would be like, here's the link, bitch. Come up. So it's only out no time. There's not Rain Dancer. Do you know what? You've got to have the courage of your convictions. Can you imagine if I had do against anyone I was in hiding and someone does that? I know. I know. Keema and cauliflower, Savoy cabbage. Oh, very nice. Green, is it Ivor or someone else? I don't know this one. It's somebody else, Wickham Way, but Ivor has done the same thing. Ivor accused, well, she was absolutely adamant that Green Eyes was Ange Wallace. Totally different people. And now that's Space Monster, her name is. She's done it as well, but she's used Green Eyes' photo as the thumbnail for her live, going on and on and on about this Ange Wallace. And some people know Ange. I'll be honest with you, I never had a problem with Ange. You know, we can disagree with who we follow and who we support. That's absolutely fine. But Ange was always very fair with me. I can't say that she's ever done anything to me. So, you know, I won't call her any names. But obviously this one's got an issue with her, but she's now claiming that our green eyes is Ange Wallace. I don't have any background, so they can look all they want, but it's not the point. Oh, okay. Ivor has more accounts than I can count. Oh, she's just a bloody lunatic. Sheila, my lovely. Hello, how are you? Oh, has she green eyes? Give her a strike. Good for her. Good for her. Well, I'm going to report her. Nasty bag. Talk about, people who go real life and then uses a photograph of someone and a photo of the wrong person. And I also looked at some of those comments. Ange, she's accusing Ange, isn't she, of reporting, was it Grumpy Granny or something, to a job to try and get her sacked. Somebody came in that in those comments saying, well, no, it were me. It wasn't Ange. Whoever this was is going, no, it was me. I found this, that, and the other out. Anyway. Lady Witch, Wickham Way is someone else, a lunatic that gets something in the head and won't listen to reason. Well, I think it's kind of it's quite indicative, really, isn't it, of the YouTube of today. Somebody just gets something in the head and they fire everybody up on it, and the next thing you know, it's it's taken as fact. You only have to look at what Shitlord did, don't you? Lady Witch, what is her problem? Why don't we wreck her head by calling her Ivor, see how she likes it? Actually, that's a really good idea, Wiccan. I don't feel comfortable calling you Wiccan. Can I still what do you want, Wiccan or Burren? No, I don't know. Well, I know obviously of Ivor. Everybody knows of Ivor. This space monster one, I've seen her on and off. I remember, didn't she, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, didn't she end up as a panel guest on Dorothy's? Or have I dreamt that? Round about the time we all jumped. Definitely has some mental health and obsession issues. Yeah, well, yeah, fully agree. But, why should that then become your issues to have to deal with and our issues to have to, it's just not on. God is me having a right old ding ding. I'm there. We don't do drama. We don't do the gossip. But that's not fair. Not when it's our green eyes and you've done nothing to deserve it. The silly cow. If I had a channel, I could do that. Take a photo of the pig's arsehole and say it was Space Monster. It doesn't help that there's no community anymore. People are going their different ways. In a lot of cases, the strength in numbers isn't there as much. Yeah, you're right, Helen. But the thing is, although there isn't, like as you're saying, community, inverted commas, but I think there are enough links from the community as was that we've all got some backing from, so if we needed it. I know damn well if I was really, getting it off anybody on here, I know there'd be guys jumping on from, from Nuff Nuffs, from yours, from Bam's channel, from bedtimes, from, Cassie's, whatever, because everybody, we all know each other and we all know that, decent people. So, I mean, I suppose that's good, although it's like you say, that the strength in numbers, as in a full-on, get the shield wall up, that's not really there anymore. But it would kind of come in as on the trickle, wouldn't it? There's definitely links and friendships still. Yeah. Oh God, yeah, I always wants up on every panel. Oh, well, if it's not a rain dance, it's either Ivor or that Meg. What's her name? Meg. Oh, the other pisshead. Sheila, I've heard of this Ange Wallace, but I think she's on Dirty D. Space Monster's always been a troublemaking shit kicker, and either she's just a trog from the bog. Yeah, well, Ange used to come on to I think, didn't Angie used to go on BAMs, I think? Because she, yes, I tell you when it was. I tell you when it was. Ange Wallace was the one who went on. Didn't she go on a live that Kelly the avocado was doing? And she was saying something, and Ange gave it to her, and Kelly wasn't very happy, and it all went Pete Tong. And I'm sure she was sticking up for Bam at that time. I'm sure. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going back like a year or so, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And then she obviously did go into Dorothy's, but we all did, you know. She's obviously decided to stay there, and that's absolutely fine. Like I said, I've got no issue personally with Ange. She's always been fine with me, you know. So I'm not slagging her off at all if she's listening or ends up listening. Not got a problem whatsoever. Ange's always been okay. She's always been in the truth channel. So quite surprised her choice of channels to follow. It's a shame. It is, Helen. But the thing is, it's one of those, isn't it? We're all good. We all find different people entertaining for whatever reason. I haven't got a problem whatsoever with anybody watching whoever and then coming in here. It's not a problem. I don't like the tittle, people tittle-tattling, going in one channel and then running to another going, do you know what they said in here? But at the end of the day, if you're doing a live, people are going to hear it anyway. So it's not something I'd lose any sleep over. Lady Witch, that was it. She was blocked while we were there. Then Dot let her back in. Big mistake. She started again on Sunday, so she blocked her again. Obviously doesn't learn. Oh, she never does. Well, that bloody camel toe one's in and out of there like a bloody Uji on a honeymoon, isn't she? She's blocked, then not blocked, then blocked, then not blocked. Be right back. Lots of news notifications hitting Russian-Ukraine conflict. Oh, right. Oh, well, keep us posted, Rain Dancer. That's what Porky keeps doing. He's been following it. Or whatever. She's that insignificant, we struggle to remember. We had a big to-do, but both apologised yesterday. Life's too short for shit like this. It's fucking YouTube. Oh, sorry, it was this old helmet. Hiya, Frida. How are you? I've just seen it now, Helen. They came in a week or so ago with the same thing, but then that was it. So I didn't know if it was like a hit and run. Just leave a comment and leave, but yeah, strap on spelled backwards is no parts. It was exactly the same comment the last time. Feel free to add more, this old helmet. So my Sky Internet hub burned out after our chat. I'm waiting on a new one from Sky. Oh, well, hopefully once you're up and running, Burren, let's do another. Oh, speaking of which, let's just have a look, Joe. Oh, Joe, when did you sneak in? Hello, hello, hello. Angie's yelled at me. She can't stand me. Oh dear. Well, like I said, she's not me mate or anything. I'm not in contact with her. It's just that whenever I've crossed paths with her, she's never had, she's never been anything but polite with me. So that's same news this morning. Must have me blocked, whoever it is. I know, probably is just hoping to hit the chat after the food. So I'll give you a little bit of an update because oh gosh, we've done 35 minutes of just pure gib gab when I'm normally doing 10. So if any of you watched my little update before, when I was letting people know where I was up to and why I haven't been online as much. So going through this house move, and then everything should be done and dusted by the 20th. Now, the following week, it's both of our birthdays, and himself has come up with a couple of places. He was on about us going out for the, going out for the day and doing something exciting. And we may end up doing a bit of a ghost hunt. But I suppose it's going to depend on the weather, because funnily enough, there's a snow forecast for the British Isles from the 21st. So I don't know if that's going to veer off or what have you. So yeah, we might end up doing something like that, and it'll be filmed and probably be bloody funny with me panicking. And also next week I'm going to do as hiya Paul. Hello love, how are you? Did they come out in the snow then, Green Eyes? Yeah, I'm hoping so. Well, there's two locations is identified, Burren, and both, well, one of them, everybody's heard of. But I'm not going to give anything away in case we don't go to that one. Paul, sorry, can I just check, Paul? Can I just ask how your sister's doing, love? Because I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. So just wondered how she's getting on and how you are. Oh, your birthday's on Friday. Oh, is that the 18th, Rain Dancer? Oh, you've just missed being a cool Aries. There's some. I was trying to think who was the. Oh, it's Lady Witch, isn't it? You're an Aries as well, aren't you? Do you know what? Because I'm probably not going to be. I don't think I'm going to be online. Yeah, because Friday's going to be a nightmare. I'll have 24 hours left to make sure that anything that isn't right in that old house is right. And then it's pony moving day on the Sunday, so I'll probably not get online properly next weekend. I might try and get on maybe Wednesday or something, like I'm doing tonight, just for an hour or two. Aries, Sun and Scorpio moon. Ooh, that's a good one. So I think I'm going to sing happy birthday in advance to Rain Dancer, because I'm going to miss you. Okay? I'll sing you the nice version. I won't sing you the, because I sang the horrid version, didn't I, to Paul when it was his birthday. Oh, just checking. Oh, she had the surgery and is doing and feeling very well. Paul, that's absolutely brilliant news. I am so glad. I'm so glad. And everybody else will be glad as well, because everyone in here and on all the other channels, wherever you're a member of, everybody was praying for your sister. So I'm really glad that she's doing well. So let's just fingers crossed and all positive thoughts to her, and that she's keeps just improving and things keep getting better. It's nice uplifting news that to get. Thanks, Paul, for sharing. Oh, I uploaded a quick video of me outside the asylum at night. You can see how dark it is. I was getting followed by a security guard. He doesn't go near the place, just watches from the gate. Burren, do you want to drop the link in chat to your upload so that people can go along and see it? That would be great if you could. And guys, anybody who's not subbed to Burren Witch, or as she's known tonight, Wickham Way, go along and sub. I watched your intro, Burren. It was great, dead professional. It's going to make what me and Porky do look shit. But anyway, I'm a Gemini. That's supposed to be a two-faced sign, but very honest. Always say things straight and don't pretend to people. No, well, do you know what, Sheila? I've never agreed with that about it being a two-faced sign. But I think it's more not two-faced. I think it's more split personality because every Gemini I've known has had what I call a sugar and shite personality. So the sugar one minute and the shite the next. But I've never found it to be two-faced backstabbing. I think two-faced more as in two sides to the personality. So I don't know if you like that. Oh, but light a candle for your sister. Oh, that's really good of you, Burren. Subchi Burren, do you do lives as well? I think she should do, Julia. Yeah, Frida, she threw me as well. I kept going. I was like, I think that must definitely be Burren Witch. Oh, thank you. Green Eyes has just put Burren's channel down. Honest to God, listen to her. Was that the because you did tell me, didn't you? Was that the channel or your group's channel? And I watched you do the intro, and I was like, oh my God. It was just really, really professional. Thank you all for the prayers and best wishes. You listen, Paul, you're very welcome. So long as it helps you and it helps your sister, it helps your family, everybody's willing to send good thoughts. Green Eyes, though both are fire signs and dominant, you all are built for endurance. So even though you will fight like mad, you're fine together. Oh, let me just see, what have I missed there? Oh, Scorpio, hubby. Green Eyes is a Scorpio and hubby is an Aries. Yeah, but get this one right. Both me and Porky are Aries. There's one day between his birthday's one day before mine. How's that? And I was laughing when I found that out because I said, I know Aries and Aries together, it's either the best of the best or the worst of the worst. There's no grey area when two Aries get together. Sheila, I've just subbed to Burren now. Thanks. Brilliant. Thank you, Sheila. And thank you, Julia. I know how to change it back. Different as chalk and cheese, but cannot remember the last time we had an argument. Loads of pictures I want to put up, but can't at the moment. Oh, no, I'm looking forward to that, Burren. And I'll definitely go and have a little look after this live. What's a good partner sign for Gemini if I ever feel the need? Do you know what? I don't really know about compatibility of star signs, Sheila. All I know is I know my own signs. I know that Pisces and a Pisces with an Aries isn't generally a good match because the Pisces being a water sign will try to dampen the enthusiasm and the spirit of an Aries. So I've been told. And I have been in a relationship with a Pisces in the past. And yeah, I can fully admit that is exactly what happened. Oh, thank you, Green Eyes. Oh, Green Eyes subbed as well. There you go, Burren, getting them subs up. So, well, there's me with my little title of oh, Scorpio or Cancer are best. Ah, okay, Rain Dancer. That's for Sheila, for Gemini. Well, what do you guys want to do? Do you want me to go through the Richard III stuff, or do you just want to have this general chit chat and catching up? Because I really don't mind if everybody's enjoying just chatting around. Because I wasn't going to do the War of the Roses stuff that I'd promised Lisa, just because I'm too tired and I need to relax my brain. but I love Richard III, and I love everything about well, his life really, and all the intrigues and all the stuff he got blamed for, and a very, very much maligned character. So it's just anybody knowing anything about him. It's just nice to have a little bit of a. I just thought it would be nice to do a little bit of a chit chat. Lady Witch, my man is a Libra and tries to dampen, so I turn up the heat and boil him. Good for you. I'll be honest though, Lady Witch, and I have said this. I thought if Porky and I ever, butt horns, I think that's going to be fireworks and a bloody explosion that people are going to have to run for cover from. I really do, because you know what Aries are like with the temper. Julie's a Leo, your husband is an Aries. Actually, Leo and Aries are very compatible as well, aren't they? Oh, and you're a Libra, are you? No, hang on a minute. Is Libra October? Have I got that one wrong? I tend to know the birthdays. When you've got relatives. So like my sister, I know my sister's a Scorpio. One of my brothers is Virgo. My other brother is a Sagittarius. So, and my dad's a Taurus, stubborn as feck. But I kind of know those months. But yeah, for anything else, I get a little bit lost. Always get them wrong. I'm Taurus, stubborn but loyal. Oh, the thing is with I think people may disagree with me. I find Taurians one of the most affable signs of the zodiac. To just, yeah. Oh, Taurus surrounded by Virgos. Well, and you know what? There you go. Two of my favourite people, Joe and Frida, who are always so pleasant and chatty and what have you, and they're both a Taurus, so you're just kind of confirming what I always think. Not that nobody else is, but I've always found people who are Taurus, they always come across so easy to get along with. Paul is an Aquarius, simple as his Virgo. Are you the same as my brother? Frida, that made you sound like a puppy. Well, Sheila, so long as she doesn't piss on the carpet, we're all right. Scorpio. Oh yeah, but no, Simples would have been the puppy, wouldn't she, when she does a Doberman pants? We can wait. My two daughters are Leo and my husband is Aquarius. I surrounded myself with Leos somehow. Well, there's a lot of Aries in my family, Burren. There was at one point there were four of us women in the same household. Well, I was a girl, but four females, all Aries in the same household. The fighting, I can't even tell you. I don't mean physical fighting, they're arguing. I cannot even tell you how bad that was. Talk about clashes of personalities. Now I'm just going to check. Now, is Aquarius January? Juliet, have a lot of everything, large family. Oh, Green Eyes, is it the April Fool? Yeah, I've got a large family as well, Julia. So we'd probably, I suppose, if I actually worked it out, we'd probably have somebody for every sign of the zodiac. I'm just going to get a little mouthful of my brew. Excuse me for a second. Right, so just so that I'm not branded a lie teller, I'm just gonna have a little. I'll talk for a little minute about Richard III. I was actually gonna put the title up as Dickie the Shit, you know, because we always say it in an Irish accent, Richard the Turd or Dickie the Shit, but I didn't. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit about Richard, and if anybody knows about him and wants to have a little bit of a chat or disagree with what my opinions are on some things, then feel free to jump in and we can have a bit of a debate about it, because I'm fully open to that. I know that Lisa, Lisa, she's going to be gutted to miss this bit, but I can cover it again when I do the War of the Roses proper. But I know Lisa and I have got differences of opinion regarding the Princes in the Tower, which I will very briefly talk about for those people who don't know about them. Is there anybody, because I'm just conscious that I don't want to be talking about stuff that people already know, and you know, you might find it a bit boring. But oh, you're there. Hi, Lisa, love. Well, I don't know if you caught it. I'm not doing the War of the Roses because I want to have a proper full night to it. I'm just coming on for an hour or so because my head's battered with trying to sort that other flipping house out. But I thought we could just have a little chat about Richard III because, yeah, because you know I love him. So I'm glad you're here. Because as I was just saying, as you popped up, I know that you and I are going to have a difference of opinion. Yeah, Dickie the yeah. Is it Rich? What is it? Dickie the Shit. Yeah, Richard the Turd or Dickie the Shit. It's because my uncle Peter used to talk with his teeth together. He was from Southern Ireland, and his teeth were together like that all the time. And we used to get get him to say Richard the Third. He'd go, Richard the Third. Or we'd also get him to say 33 and a third, which was 33 and a third. So yeah, that's why we call him Dickie the Shit. Richard the Third and Dickie the Shit. Anyway, wasn't he the one with the Hanovian chin and the bent scoliosis back that was found in the car park? Yes, Sheila, he was. He was indeed. Now, he is or was the last Plantagenet King of England, and the Plantagenets had ruled for, was he the one with the, no, that was Harold Godwinson, Julia. That was 1066 at the Battle of Hastings. We're going to come forward from that point to the 1400s, because Richard III was born in 1452. So, you know, 400 and, well, yeah, 400 years on from the Battle of Hastings. Oh, there you go. Lisa's just said it. No, Julie, that was King Harold. 1066 Hastings. Gotta go. My Virgo bestie is visiting. Oh, well, nice to see you, Joe. And hopefully, I can catch up with you after like I said, I might come back on Wednesday for an hour or so. But my next proper full-on live will be after the 20th. I'll be back to normal. I get my friends from London to say free 3 to 3 calls. It sounds like they're saying free to free calls. It's great. I love accents. Have fun, Triffid. Yeah, you take care, Joe. Enjoy yourself, love. So yeah, So a little bit of background on Richard, and like I said, I'm not going to go into it in too much depth because I'm covering the whole of the, the War of the Roses, as I agreed with Lisa, and then I'll really go into some depth. And I know we discussed it because Burren, you're back to Burren. Hello, Burren Witch as well. So the Plantagenets, you're going back, the Plantagenets were they were Norman royalty. So I think the most well known, probably, that you could say, everybody's heard of Longshanks, Edward I of England. Brutal, brutal. And the Plantagenets have been named as probably the most they were, oh sorry, just bear with me a second, Burren, there's a reason I always get Cassie to say purple burglar. It's hilarious. Oh yeah. The Plantagenets were probably, or they do get called, the most brutal of the royal families of Europe, definitely of England. It was just intrigue and murder and backstabbing, and from start to finish. They were very, very. They were a brutal line, but yes, he was, Lisa. And really, I've just, yeah, I'm trying not. I was just about to say about Henry V, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that, with all the 100 Years' War and the War of the Roses and how it all started off. But if I stay tonight, I'll just stick with Richard, with just a little bit of background. So Richard, who, when he was born, he was given the title of the Duke of Gloucester, and he was the third son, right there, aren't I? He was the third son of Richard, Duke of York, and his wife Cecily Neville. Now, his older brother was Edward of March, who later would become Edward IV of England. And the next brother, the middle one, was George, the Duke of Clarence. Let's just say I watched a really good video from Leicester University Archaeology Department that found his remains. Some stupid idiot put a shovel through his skull on the dig. Yes, they did. They did. I was watching that dig. Oh my God, I was so I cannot even tell you. I was kind of jumping around, Sheila, when they found him. And it was quite sad when they uncovered his bones to actually see what had happened. But anyway, I'll digress slightly. So, 1452, Richard is born, and 3 years later, so he was, coming on to 3 years old, the War of the Roses began in earnest in England. Now, they call it the War of the Roses, and as I said, we're going to cover that next week sometime. It wasn't actually a war. It was a kind of amalgamation of battles and skirmishes and little mini wars. But it wasn't actually a war as such. There were lots of little intrigues and little fights and so on. I'm not, Lisa, are you? Now, At the time, there was so when the War of the Roses started, this I know I really should do, Lisa. I really should do, because I'm just fascinated by Richard III. So with when the War of the Roses started, this was at the time the King of England was Henry the Sixth, the Mad King, and he'd have these periods of basically go like catatonic. He was incredibly religious, so basically just would ignore the fact that he needed to run a country. He would spend hours and days and weeks in devotions, praying. Um, he'd have spells where he'd soil himself. It was a bit like dementia, but it would have such a quick onset and then it would go away again. It was obviously some form of a mental illness. Um, there'd also been some controversy about the line of succession. And again, we'll cover this on the War of the Roses. It was because of the different sons of Edward III, going right back, and different things that happened and people who died, and so on and so forth. First known as the Cousins' War, madness probably from the Valois line. Yeah, I mean they were all into bread, weren't they? You know, you'd have cousins, first cousins being married, getting dispensations from the Pope, and you know what that does, you know, for people's mental health. Not just mental health, it's physical health as well. So anyway, Henry VI is basically he's batshit crazy, and at the time, Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, who was later become Richard III of England, his father, Richard, Duke of York, he actually did have a very strong claim to the English throne. And his mother's father was mad. Yeah, like you said, well, I mean, and look at another one as well. Look at another one, which was, jumping even further closer to today's time. Go to George III. I mean, he was batshit crazy as well. But I don't know with Henry VI. I'm not sure what was cracking on with him. He was, I mean, it might have been down to, because don't forget, he was an infant, wasn't he, when he came to the throne? And having that kind of pressure put on you, and different nobles and barons pulling you every which way because they want to be the person that holds the most sway over the king. As a child, they want to be the ones who have the most power. It's a lot for a child to have to deal with, and children are not stupid, and they're going to know of the different things that are going on around them, pressures and wanting to please people, whether that had any effect, whether he was already that way inclined, and that kind of pressure as a child tipped him over the edge, we do not know. He then married Margaret of Anjou, who was a niece of the King of France. There was word that he had been duped into marrying her, because basically, I think word was that they'd been told he was going to marry a French princess, and she actually wasn't. She was kind of minor royalty, but she was a very, very strong woman. So she ended up more or less ruling the country. Well, that pissed people off for a start, because there was this ongoing battle between England and France from time immemorial, even to even to this day. So that got people's backs up. You've got Henry going off crazy as arse, and he was the House of Lancaster, because there was a House of Lancaster and the House of York. Now, the opposition, which were the Yorkists, were headed up by Richard, the Duke of York, Richard Plantagenet, who was Richard III, as he would become to be known, his father. He had, in my opinion, I think he had a stronger claim to the throne than Henry VI, if you go back. And the fact that people were nudged out of the way in favour of other people. So was it common for the elite to interbreed? Yeah, and to be honest, Paul, it was the same. If you look at ancient Egypt as well, I mean, that was like fathers marrying daughters, mothers marrying sons, brothers and sisters getting married. Not to that extent with European royalty, but there are a lot of dispensations handed out by the Pope for first cousin marriages. It wasn't uncommon for there to be, I mean, you know, uncles and nieces. And even to this day, believe it or not, this is the weird one. If, and I'm presuming it's the same in America, right? You can't marry a first cousin in this country. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't marry my first cousin. However, get this, and I don't know how this one works out, it's not illegal to marry if I married my uncle. Richard, Duke of York and Anjou wanted the same things, but it was the power struggle that caused the problems. Married for country and money as well. Yeah, and the thing was, Julia, women were just, you know, they were kind of a commodity, you know, especially women with influential families. They were married off to the, if not the highest bidder, so to speak, the best strategic partnership that could be found. So if I go back to Richard, Duke of York, so they decided that they needed to get shot of. Oh no, I thought it was the other way, Lisa. I thought you can marry an uncle, but not your first cousin. You need to get you've got to get legal permission for that. But I actually thought you can marry your uncle. But stand to be corrected. The only reason that stuck in my head, and I'll tell you for why, there was a girl I went to school with. It was this was crazy. Yeah, I think you can marry cousins, but not first cousins, Lisa. This girl I went to school with, she came from a very, very good family, very religious family, actually. And her mum, and she was one of these at school, she was a right nerd. She was a bit of a geek. I was just really shocked because her mum, I remember this, her mum telling my nan that she was absolutely gutted because Nicola had buggered off with her uncle and was pregnant to him. And that's how it stuck in my head, the fact that it wasn't an arrestable offence. I mean, she you know, she was legal age, but yeah, I mean, obviously, Lisa, I'll believe you. It's just obviously I was given that information at the time that it's not illegal to be with your uncle, but yet it is to be with a first cousin. And I was like, really? Because I would have thought the uncle thing was just as close. Sorry, but I would never marry any cousin of mine. Nor me, Paul. Oh, actually, no, I don't know. Some of my Norse cousins are really fit, but that's just wrong on too many levels. Mike Hawke. Genitalia. Okay. Hello and welcome. Yeah, it was a horrible time in history for women. We were used as pawns in all the games. Many Asian families marry the cousins just to keep the wealth and caste in the family, but produce poorly babies because of it. Well, Sheila, there was a story. So see, we're going off on a tangent, but I don't mind with this one. There was a story in the oh God, was it? I'm gonna say 3 or 4 years ago about genetically or genetic abnormalities, shall we say, which were either physical or mental. And the highest population at that time was in the a certain religious community. And I'm going to be careful what I say because obviously I don't want people starting trying to strike me channel for racism, which it's not, but obviously sometimes you're not allowed to say what is actually true. Anyway, this was a it is documented, and the British Medical Association have looked into it, and that they've confirmed that this incredibly high rate of either birth defects and genetic issues are from this particular community, and it is because of the intermarrying of close blood relatives. No, I know we're not, Sheila. We are just stating the facts. Unfortunately, some people like jumping on bandwagons, don't they? Sheila, I have nursed so many of these poor babes. They blame it on the mother. It was not being good. Just don't believe in genetics. Reading a book by a retired neurosurgeon at the moment. Oh, are you, Simples? Is it any good? I'll tell you something else as well. Speaking of this with the intermarrying, I watched a program a good few years ago now, and it was on the Amish in America. And they were saying that there's this particular strain of dwarfism. Now, it's not like dwarfism, small people, but dwarfism's got quite a few different manifestations. And one of them can include kind of like the webbing of fingers and toes, or having, like a normal sized hand, but really stubby fingers. And I mean, I'm not just talking little a bit stubby. I'm talking proper like nubs instead of fingers. That's a form of dwarfism as well. And this particular Amish community, the incidence of this particular form of dwarfism was really high. And they said it's because it was such a closed society, no new blood is coming in, so virtually everybody within this Amish community was related to each other by blood. So it's the same with anything, isn't it? I mean, look at, not that I'm comparing people to animals, but look at dog breeding, and certain breeds of dog, they're so highly bred, and in order to get that particular breed of dog, they had to do a lot of very close mating with siblings and parents with offspring, that they have these defects, like King Charles Cavalier Spaniels with the heart defect. Oh, is it Turner syndrome? I've not heard of that. Green eyes. I've seen documentaries too that any malformation, they believe they are gods, and everyone in the village pays homage and often rejects medical surgical procedures to help correct them. Sheila, isn't that the one isn't it like the rat people? I think that's in India, I think. And they've got very misshapen faces, and they do look very rat-like. But yeah, they call them the rat people. This is way off the subject, but I have a lot of blind relatives. Make me curious as to why. Really, Paul? Well, I mean, I don't know. I suppose, when you get down to genetics, maybe if, like some of these other other ailments or disabilities or what have you, or physical differences, whatever you want to call them, sometimes they only manifest when both parents are carrying this recessive gene. And if they both carry the gene, then the child is going to have this particular issue. It could be, maybe that's it, maybe this gene for blindness. I really don't know. I really don't know. They believe they can't sin if born mentally challenged, so they worship them. Oh, is that right, Julia? From which all that kind of thing is going on since before the Egyptian kings and queens, inbreeding with brothers and sisters, etc., trying to hold on to the crown and power. It was a sick time. Certainly was. No, Sheila, I don't mind. You know what I'm like. I'm quite happy when we start going off on tangents. It was the Richard III thing was only just for a bit of a chit chat, but I'm happy for the thing to go in whichever way it goes, and saving Dick of the shit for when we do the War of the Roses. I mean, it's all relevant, isn't it? I mean, even look, for example, look at Richard III. Well, he was related to his future wife. So it and who was he? Oh, there was somebody else as well. Now let me have a think. Yeah, sure. So English documentary on that. The poor kids. It's so sad. Asians over here are. I'm just trying to think of. There was another king who married a close relation. And it's escaped me for the moment. But yeah, I mean, there were dispensations all over the place. Look at our recent royal family with haemophilia, all were into bread. Well, yeah, and that was something that was with the Russian royal family, wasn't it? They suffered from haemophilia because they used to say if you had haemophilia, is it haemophiliac? That you'd joke about it being, oh yeah, because you must be royalty. Lots of mental problems, even up today in royalty. Yeah, yeah, there are. Cause, I mean, you don't breed it out overnight, do you, Julia? It's hard to understand all the names. Asians here are Chinese people. Yeah, when did that happen, Green Eyes? Because I always thought, like here, to me, if somebody says Asian, I think Chinese. You know, that way, Chinese, Japanese, Thai, what have you. But it's not, is it? But yet, Asian, if you say Asian in America, that's what it means. And you say Asian in Australia, that's what it means. So I don't know who decided that it didn't mean the same thing in the UK and when that happened, because I always thought, but now you have to say Oriental. Asian UK used to mean Pakistan. Well, yeah, that's what it. I mean, that's what it means now. But I always think Asian as being like China. Now, whether that's because, um, of my grandparents, I really don't know. But it's still not. It's still not. Even though I do use that word, if I was going to say, um, like you say, in Indian or Pakistani, you would say Asian, and I would say it, but it wouldn't be what I would want to say. But yeah. So there's an awful lot of an awful lot of. Let's have a think. What's the right word? I'm trying to be tactful here. An awful lot of things can happen when you marry a blood relative. There is Asian and Oriental. I think the Chinese didn't like the Asian or East Asia reference, so now we say Oriental. King of Spain was very bad. Which king, Burren? Have I missed something in the chat? Sorry if anybody heard that then. That was Porky shouting. He's playing his game and he's obviously getting a little bit excited. Just heard him yelling through the ceiling. I'm surprised the dog's not started barking. Can be North African and Indian too. Oh, I just lose. I'd just rather say where somebody comes from. You know, I'd just rather go, oh, you're from India, you're from Pakistan, you're from North Africa. As regards your blind relatives, could be passed down via DNA. Well, it's like deafness as well, wasn't it? Hereditary deafness was also something that the royals carried. And I think, I'm pretty sure that was like the Austrian and German royal families had that particular trait. And then that passed on to Queen Victoria's, some of her grandchildren and great grandchildren. And it came down through those lines. But again, all through close intermarrying. Yeah, I just, it's like the term Hispanic. It works with some folks, but not with others. Yeah, you see, I don't tend to say Hispanic, but then again, I don't live in America, but I tend to say, like such as yourself or Joe Madre, I'd just say Spanish or Mexican. If you were Mexican origin, I would actually say what you were. For some reason, the word Hispanic, I think of that as something from that one word. I associate it with kind of, right, say for example in New York, and you've got a particular community of all people of Spanish origin. That's where I would put that word Hispanic, even though I'm incorrect in doing it, but for some reason that's where I think Hispanic there. But everyone else, I'd say Spanish or Mexican or Cuban or case. What was the blood thing called where you keep bleeding? I can recall. Didn't a member of the royal family have that? Yes, that was the haemophilia, Frida. And then there was what George III had, which was porphyria, which was another blood disorder. Can't think of his name, but he was famous for being so disabled. Oh, right. Oh, look who's in the house. It's Raven. Working and can't type, but I'm listening. Love to you all. Oh, love to you too, Raven. Oh, it's great to hear from you. I will be able to sit down and write you a hefty response when I've got this move out the road. I'm neglecting emails and texts and all sorts of stuff. The Nerdenberg. Excuse my spelling. Is that what it was called? Oh, I don't know. Was it the 5th? I just can't think of his name. I've got absolutely no idea. I'm going to start getting upset at being called a Geordie now, because it suggests I'm from Newcastle. Couldn't remember what it was called. Well, we used to call. I mean, it's bloody awful, isn't it? I forget why how I got onto this the other day, but I was telling Porky about my nana, my Irish nana, and my granddad started this off, when they'd have a bit of a ding dong. So my granddad was Scottish and my nana was Irish. And if they were ever having, and my goodness, they could do some arguing. And I can always remember my granddad would go, you're a bog trotter. Oh, my nan used to go bloody berserk at being called that. But, he didn't mean anything detrimental by it. It's just what he was calling her. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Julia, they hid a few royals in mental homes, pretended they had died, and removed them from the lineage books of records, but they were found alive, and knowing who they were, very sad. Oh, but that is like the because I know we never got back onto it, and I don't really want to get onto it. If Bam decides she wants to reopen the Jack the Ripper thing, and we carry on where we left off back in, was it November? But the person who I think was part of Jack the Ripper had oh God, how do I say it now? Had a particular affliction, shall we say, and she was apparently related to royalty. I'll leave it there because I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, and that was all connected to, a mental home, workhouse, all the rest of it. So but yeah, all sorts of weird and wonderful things that that the royals suffered from. And I think, I mean, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but like with Henry VIII, his inability to obviously blame the women, and as we all now know, it's not. It's down to the man as to what gender the baby is going to end up as. But his inability to father a male child, and when he did, they then died. They were sickly in nature, and I've always thought, was that something to do? I know there were a lot of suggestions that he possibly had syphilis, although there isn't any evidence of that. People can kind of surmise, but actual written evidence there isn't any. Or was that down to kind of he himself was weakened because of previous generations and their close blood ties through marriage? Because it's weird, isn't it, when you look back at how many of the royals, the kings and queens, seem to have so much difficulty fathering heirs. Whereas these days, I don't see any problem, no problem whatsoever. The fathering sons left, right, and centre. But they're not as closely related. But back then, they were marrying cousins and getting dispensations to do this, that, and the other. And Habsburg syndrome. No, you are right, Burren Witch, you are. We all seem to pass stuff on. That's why doctors ask us. Case there was a great tour done by a creator on YouTube around all the locations of Jack the Ripper. It was very interesting. There is a channel that does virtual tours, Frida, like the Jack the Ripper tours. I think that's what the thing's called, is Jack the Ripper tours. That is a really good channel, because they upload photographs, of old London round about that time, and of the different streets and so on. So that's a very good channel as well. But I'm going right off all over the place here. What I wanted to talk about as far as Richard III goes was his involvement or non-involvement of the disappearance stroke murder of the princes in the Tower. Now, I'm not sure if I'm presuming you've all heard of the princes in the Tower. For those of you who haven't, King Edward IV died at the age of 40. It was the Queen's mother's cousins they locked away and recently found them all. Hush, hush. Ooh. Yeah, but if the royal family is seen as anything other than perfect, Sheila, you know. I hadn't heard about that one, though. I'm going to have to look into that. So, I've just lost my train of thought then. What the heck was I just saying? Oh my goodness. This is really bad. My brain, I shouldn't have read the chat. My brain has just completely gone. Ah, right, yeah, sorry, I'm back in the room. Princes in the Tower. So, Edward IV, he died suddenly. Well, he'd been getting ill, but he'd gone from being this strapping. I think he was about 6'4", which was virtually unheard of in the 15th century. He was blonde, you know, he was the golden prince. He was very handsome. He was a bit of a womanizer. He had apparently, in his youth, you know, 17, 18-year-old, he was a bit of a coxman. You know, he liked to entertain the ladies. He'd made a lot of promises of marriage in order to get virtuous women into his bed. So we're going to leave that bit there. He then made a secret wedding, or he had a secret wedding to a lady named Elizabeth Woodville. And this caused a bit of a stir because not only was she a commoner, although her mother was related to royalty, she was related to the Burgundian royal family, but not only was she a commoner herself, she was also a widow with 2 sons. And I think she was about 6 years older than Edward, and Edward married her. And a lot of people were pissed off about this because the Earl of Warwick had been trying to arrange a marriage into the French royal family, so one of the French princesses. He was laying the ground for all of this, and Edward upped and went and secretly married Elizabeth Woodville. So, that was that. Now, when he died, and again, I'll go through this in more depth when we do the War of the Roses, but this is just a little background on the Prince in the Tower. He died, and what had happened was he had gone from this tall, athletic, good-looking, head-turning man. He became quite corpulent as he was, you know, going through his 30s and towards the age of 40. So he was eating an incredibly rich diet. He was drinking. He was getting fatter. He was having a lot of associated health issues, and then he fell ill and he died. And there's a bit of speculation as to what it could have been. Now, some people have said that it could have been typhus. Some people claim it was as a result of a stroke, which wouldn't surprise me. There's been rumours of it being a blood clot, you know, like a DVT, all sorts of different things. But nevertheless, at the age of 40, he died. Now, on his deathbed, he named the eldest of his sons, so that was Edward, another Edward, and he would become Edward V. And he named him as his successor. And because the future young king was still not an adult, he was only 12 years old, He also named his brother Richard as the Lord High Protector, and that he would govern until his son came of age. So although his son would be crowned as king, his brother Richard would take the reins and would teach him everything he knew, and he would care for him and love him and protect him. And that was what happened. And then he breathed his last and he died. Now, Elizabeth Woodville, Edward IV's wife, her family, they were, as I said, she was a commoner. She came from a massive family, brothers and sisters all over the place. They had been given a lot of positions of power in the court because of her marriage to the king, and the Woodvilles were not popular at all. They were taking places that the actual real nobility of the country felt that they were entitled to, and in a lot of, instances they were entitled to. So a lot of noses were put out of joint. People did not like the Woodvilles whatsoever. When Edward died and Elizabeth realised that she wasn't going to have control of her sons, because she had the two, there was Edward and Richard. She wasn't going to have control of these. She wasn't going to be able to tell them what to do, because Richard had been given, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, had been given the title of Lord High Protector. So she bolted for Westminster Abbey and taken all the riches, the crown jewels, everything, and all her children with her into sanctuary there. And there she was going to remain. And she's trying to drum up support on the outside via the rest of her family. And Richard wasn't having any of this. So in the end, they managed to get her to, basically, Edward was, the prince, was taken to the royal lodgings in the Tower of London. And then they went along and they got his brother, younger brother, who I think he was 9 at the time, Richard. And he joined his brother in the royal lodgings in the Tower of London. Now, what you've got to remember is that the Tower of London wasn't always a dungeon. It became known as such as time went on, but initially this was a fortified and easily protected place. The ideal place to put somebody of high importance if you wanted to protect them and guard them with your lives. So it just stood to reason that, one, it would keep the boys safe. Two, it would stop any attempts at nicking them, robbing the boys and try to bring them under alternative control. And they were placed into royal lodgings, very comfortable lodgings, in the Tower of London to await the coronation. Now, there's a lot of speculation, again, about Richard III saying that he didn't want these boys to gain the throne because he wanted it for himself. Well, if he did, he would not have done everything he could to protect those boys during the Woodville uprising. There had been a lot of talk, and a few people said it was first raised round about the 1460s, but it was definitely raised round about 1483, that possibly Edward IV, King Edward, who's recently deceased, was illegitimate, that his mother Cecily, while living in France with his father Richard, Duke of York, who was away on campaigns and was leaving his wife alone for long and extended periods of time, that she began an affair with a French archer by the name of Blaybone, and that she bore him a son who was Edward, or, then became Edward IV, previously known as Edward, Duke of March. So when you read about Cecily, the Duchess Cecily, there's no way, her being as she was, proud Cecily, she was also known as the Rose of Arabia. She was, because of her beauty, she was from a noble family, noble through and through, very moral. I cannot see a lady of her standing and being as proud as she was, have, and I'm going to say lowered herself, because that would have been the terminology of the day, lowered herself to commit adultery with a man so beneath her in status. There were not many options for women back in the 15th century who committed adultery. Now, I personally don't believe that Edward IV was illegitimate. I just don't. A lot of, and nobody else can prove it either. The only way you'd prove it is to, disinter his bones, take a DNA sample and compare them to either living relatives or to the bones of Richard III that have now been discovered. So you could do that. But as far as contemporary accounts go, there are none. There are none. Yes, he was christened at the back of a church in a very quiet and unassuming ceremony. And again, people have said this because they wanted to keep it quiet, keep it on the hush hush, didn't want to embarrass Cecily any more than she had to be, because she'd, committed this transgression against her husband. But she'd already lost one child not that far before Edward was born. Is it too much to expect that because, possibly he could have been born premature and worrying for his health, they didn't want to make a big song and dance about a christening on the off chance that something went wrong? They just wanted to get him baptized, get him covered just in case something happens to him, and then we'll see what transpires. I think that that's more likely. But regardless, there were already these rumours circulating that Edward was illegitimate. If Richard for 1 second thought that, because he also was incredibly moral, he wanted to do what was right by the country, I do not think for 1 second, if Richard thought that his brother Edward was illegitimate and did not have a right to the throne, that he would have protected and defended his children. Not for 1 second. I just don't. I think up to that point, Richard truly believed that those two boys were, they had the right of succession. They were the true heirs to the throne of England. Okay, that's my thoughts at the moment. I'll just read what Sheila's put and then I'll carry on. Yeah, she would have. If he was handsome and she fancied him, women have needs too. Plus, she was in an arranged, loveless marriage, so it's possible she'd go there. Just my opinion, though. Well, yeah, I have thought about that, Sheila. But again, we're putting things from, we look at things from our perspective. It was totally different time, although there was a precedent. Don't forget, if you go back to Kate de Valois. Now, what did she do? The minute fair enough, she was widowed. However, she began an affair with her Welsh dancing master, Owen Tudor. And she bore him children. Now, if anybody was below the station, that was one, the former Queen of England. Queen, not a duke, not a duchess, not a lady. She was the Queen. the former Queen of England then has an affair with and bears children to her Welsh dancing instructor. So it's not to say it couldn't have happened. I'm just not sure with Cecily Neville. I'm just not sure. I'm just not buying that one. But again, we all have our own opinions on it. And as I've just said, there was a precedent set. Kate de Valois did it. Who's to say? Love is blind. But the fact that, proud Cecily, yeah, I'm not 100% convinced. And the thing is, although it was said that Richard, Duke of York, left her alone for extended periods of time while they were both in France, which is where allegedly this so-called affair had occurred, he wasn't that far away that he could not have spent any time with his wife round about the period of conception, or that she could have gone to spend a night or two with him. And again, it was, as regards the marriage, yeah, an arranged marriage, absolutely certainly. Loveless, I'm not so sure, because there was always a lot of talk, wasn't there, about the real genuine affection shown between Cecily and Richard, Richard the Duke of York. So, but who were these stories written by? Were they all contemporary? And a lot of stuff was written by people like Thomas More and Virgil, who were nothing more than Tudor propagandists. So, it's we can only kind of do a bit of guesswork. We can use our true crime knowledge and try and put that into practice here, trying to work out what we think's real and not real. So, going back to these princes, so I don't think for a second that Richard, Duke of Gloucester, thought that his brother was illegitimate. I just don't. Queen Vic did with John Brown and the Russian Empress with Rasputin, so it's not totally out of the question. No, you're right, Sheila, it's not. It's not out of the question at all. It's just me personally. My personal opinion is I don't think that, but it happens. It absolutely happens. We can't say it didn't happen again. That would be the only way to put that one to rest, would be DNA. Getting permission to exhume his bones, take some DNA samples, compare them to the known samples that we have. So we've got Richard III now. We've also got the line from the Duke of Clarence, so George, Duke of Clarence, his relatives, distant though they may be, that's a direct line, because that's how they identified Richard III, wasn't it? So I would be interested, just the same as I would be interested with the skeletons of the two children found in the Tower of London in a box, because that's never been authorised either, to do DNA sampling on them. It would be so easy. It would put, it would put it to bed, wouldn't it? All the speculation and the wondering and the intrigues and the conspiracies that everybody has. It just I would love for it to be put to rest. So anyway, I'm waffling on. Richard, High Protector, and he's getting ready for the coronation of his nephew, Edward, soon to be Edward V of England. And even as far as getting him measured up and fitted for his coronation robes. Now, there is then one particular Sunday, I can't remember the date off the top of my head, don't have my notes with me, so you're going to have to bear with me, at St Paul's Cross in London. Now, St Paul's Cross was one of these places, if there was ever going to be a big announcement made, it was made there. And all of the townspeople and the gentry, the nobility, they all knew that if something was getting said at St Paul's Cross, especially on a Sunday, it was going to mean something, and it was going to be something bloody important. Now, on this particular day, there was a sermon being given by a Dr. Ralph Shah. And for this, and it wasn't anybody of great importance, but the Lord High Protector turned up to listen to this sermon, and he's accompanied by other lords. I think Buckingham was there, Hastings was there, and they're all sitting atop the horses listening to this sermon. And the sermon was entitled, "Bastard Slips Shall Not Take Root." This is taken from words that are in the Bible, and a lot of praise was heaped during this sermon. A lot of praise was heaped upon the head of Richard, Duke of Gloucester. And what transpired from this was that it had been discovered that prior to his marriage to Elizabeth Woodville, Edward IV had been pre-contracted to another lady. And back then, what you sorry for, Sheila? Is there a bit of a delay? That's only just come up, and I don't know what that's relating to. But if it's about the discussion about the the affairs and what have you, no, it's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I totally agree. We all have our own opinions and everything. So they're listening to this speech. All this praise is being heaped onto Richard. They find out that Edward had been pre-contracted to another lady prior to him marrying Elizabeth Woodville. Now, back then, if you were pre-contract to somebody, it was as binding as marriage. So if I had agreed to marry John Smith and then came here and shacked up with Porky, I could actually, and if it was back in those days, I could be done for adultery, because John Smith is legally my husband, because I've agreed this. We've agreed a contract, and the fact that it was as binding as marriage meant that the marriage to Elizabeth Woodville was basically null and void. And as a result of that, all the children that Elizabeth Woodville had born were illegitimate and had no right to the throne. And this then caused the passing of the Act of Titulus Regis, and both of the boys and the rest of the children that Edward IV fathered on Elizabeth Woodville were all declared bastards. And then the next in line to the throne was Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who would then be crowned as Richard III of England. Now, after that, so this is 1483, the boys were seen quite a lot while they were inhabiting the tower. They'd be seen out practicing their archery. Signal keeps dropping and it's driving me mental. I'm missing so much. My internet hub burned out after I told you guys about life. That's weird. That is Burham Witch. That's really, well, I mean, everything was going wrong that night. Everything. one of my friends listened to your live, you know. And sorry, everybody, I'm going off on another tangent now. I was about to carry on talking about the little boys, but I just need to say this before she drops out again. My friend listened to that and she was freaked out. Absolutely freaked out. She said she could hear voices, she could hear whispering, she could hear growling. Not like the growl that my demon made that night that sounded like my dog. Even though you can hear my dog kind of breathing and snoring at the side of me, so you know it's not him. And I was in the house on my own that night. There was no Porky there. But yeah, she said she could hear some growling sound, and she said it sounded bloody awful. Oh, has it, Julia? Oh. Boring. The elemental did not like you telling the story to us and put a stop to that. Yeah, do you know what, Sheila? It definitely did. Did you hear all them noises as well, She? They freaked me out. I listened back to some. I'll be honest with you. Yes, it is a nasty cow, Burren witch. Go on, bitch. Get her told. Bitch, be gone. I had to stop. You know, I started to log the times when I was going through, and this is no word of a lie. I started getting and I don't really get headaches. I started getting the worst headaches ever. And I thought, oh, maybe I just don't, maybe it's just watching, you know, keep stopping and restarting and, stopping and restarting something. And I had a day's break away from it because I thought maybe, my eyes are just overtired or what have you. When I went back to do it again, the same thing happened. I got the headaches again. So I haven't gone back and listened anymore. And I did try and cast white light, but yeah, I know. It was the worst thing ever. It was a horrible, nasty pain mainly behind my left eye. You know, if you go into the inner corner of your eye and push up to the bone underneath your eyebrow, it felt like there was somebody, like a finger rammed right against the bone in my head. So that's why I haven't done any more. I've not done any more timestamps for it because I was waiting to see you to explain, and obviously I can now. And I was just going to say to you, I'm really sorry I haven't been able to get any further. I will try again, and if the same thing happens again, then I'm going to completely leave it because I'll know that there is actually a reason for it. It's so bad, it's just rotten. No, leave it be. I'm not in a rush to either. No, yeah. Okay. Oh, well, there you go then, guys and gals. I'm going to play them bowls throughout my electricals. What's that, Julia? No, Green Eyes, I don't blame you for not listening. It was oh, you listened back, did you as well, Sheila? What did you think? Because my friend said it freaked her the F out. She didn't listen to, I mean, she doesn't come on YouTube, and I just mentioned it and said, oh, we had a really good live, and I was saying one of friends in Ireland, and she was telling this story about how she'd done this, she'd gone to Lep. Now, this friend of mine had watched Most Haunted when they did Lep Castle, so she went, oh my God, is that where, this, that, and the other happened, and there was that monster thing. I said, yeah, the elemental. She's experienced it. I said, go and have a listen. And that was when she came back to me the next day and just said she'd heard all sorts of stuff. And I was like, yeah. Somebody noticed that. Yeah, somebody noticed that. So, for anybody who wants to think it's bullshit, it absolutely is not. Oh, Burren said, buy a bowl or bell. I have listened again. I sound funny. No, you don't. We all think we sound funny, though, when we listen to ourselves, don't we? It was actually a really good night, that was. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, we had the bits of interference and it got a little bit freaky-deaky, but I did enjoy it. Oh, yeah, Frida, you've just said exactly the same as me. That live was definitely freaky. That's why I was a bit never coming on. Well, I think probably that's one maybe to leave alone, isn't it? You both were, Burren Witch, you both were. Yeah, the nervous thing, yeah. Like I said, I wasn't aware of that until he explained a bit later on, but um, it was as alive, and the information that came across, it was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed that. So I'd love it if you've got any more tales that you could that you'd like to share with us. If we did another one another time, I'd be made up if you could come up and yeah, like Sheila's just said. Then I was just about to say, get Julia's lad to come up if he will. Yeah, I'd like more of his stories one night if he's willing. Absolutely do. Yeah, sure. Oh, brilliant, Burren. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, because I really, I love listening to other people's stories. I think they're great. I mean, that one he told about with the burns on the back of his neck, you know, with the time loss, that was as though, potentially could have been an abduction. Sheila, I was very scared to wait until daylight, and it still freaked me out. Was jumping all day. It's funny what certain things get you like that, isn't it, Sheila? But yeah, I'd definitely like to hear more about that. He's weird. He was locked up by the docks for being different. That's so bad, isn't it? It's so bad. But I mean that's time immemorial, isn't it? People being different, people having psychic abilities or what have you, or abilities of any kind. Um, lots of time people were vilified. They were locked away into asylums. They were cast out of villages and towns and families. Such a shame. But as you saw that night when he was on Burren Witch and Lady Witch, we're giving him a lot of advice on things to do. So, he can always come in here and chat to these guys because they know the stuff. They really do know the stuff. Told about hearing voices and was taken to Lancaster. Yeah, well, the first thing you do when you say hearing voices, what's the first thing they think of? Oh, yeah, it must be schizophrenic. Whatever. It really is. He has a lot of gifts. He just needs help and guidance. Yes, that's absolutely right. Listen to what Burren Witch is saying, and she's somebody who's been there, and the same with Lady Witch. Do you ever get an X-ray on his neck? Oh, so he had an MMR on his brain. So did they never check to see what those things were on the back of his neck, Julia? That him and his friend, because didn't he say his friend ended up in a unit? He went a bit off the rails. The drink or the drugs or something. And I'll tell you what else freaked me out as well. The fact that he became epileptic after that experience. Yeah, I would. Can you imagine if there'd been an X-ray and something showed up? 'Cause that happened with someone in America, didn't it? Someone who reckoned they'd had, an abduction experience, and they had a little scar, and then when it was and the doctor actually detected under the skin there was some foreign object, and it looked like, it 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 had markings on it and, writing or something. It was like a tiny, absolutely minute, piece of metal of some sort, but it's like a mini processor, but it was actually under the skin. That was on one of those programs. I'm sure it was Jesse Ventura. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I know, Joe and Green Eyes and Simples and Sheila and everybody, um, was really fascinated by those stories and Frida and yeah. And I know they tend to listen more, but you've got Kathy and Meadow and who else have we got who listens in? On Paula as well, and Fingal. Well, she come in as Beryl the other night, didn't she? Yeah, he just needs help in controlling his gifts. It must be so. I mean, I don't know. I don't have those kind of gifts, but it must be so frightening when you don't know what they are. And somebody that I know, I can't say she isn't a friend. She's more of an acquaintance. Um, but she used to hear a lot of voices when she, imaginary friends. She was a stereotypical child medium with the imaginary friends and the voices and um everybody thinking she was a bit of an odd child, and she's a medium, but it wasn't recognized back then. She was just seen as a bit quirky. She had all these imaginary friends, so she was a bit of a fibber, and then she went really crackers because she was hearing voices, but she had nobody to tell her any different. She just came from an incredibly religious Catholic family who didn't believe in any of the paranormal or the occult. You just didn't talk about it because that was against your religion. So she must have just been a bit crazy, and it was such a shame. Yeah, yeah. There you go, Burren Witch. That's it. You learn to work with them and block them out. That lady does that on oh, what's it called? She's a medium and she works with that. It's American. It's American program. She's a medium and her partner is he a homicide detective from New York? And so she'll go in and do a walk around on a property that's got some form of paranormal activity, and the detective goes off and he researches the actual place, but they don't confer, they don't discuss anything until at the end of the investigation. She talks about what she's found, what she's seen or experienced, and then they see if it dovetails in with any of the findings that he has come up with. And she'll do a drawing. She'll get like a police artist to draw. She'll describe what she's seen, the faces of people that she's seen, and then they'll draw it, and then she'll do this at the big reveal. And a lot of the time it will match up with photographs of, say, murder victims or former inhabitants of the property that the police officer has found. And I think it's called, is it the Dead Files? I can't remember what the damn thing's called. Anyway, she a couple of them that I've watched, she has there've been children in the house who she said are natural mediums, and she's told them how to do meditation and communicate with the spirits, to say that they're only allowed to communicate with her when she basically turns the switch on. That you leave me alone. You leave me alone unless I tell you or unless I talk to you. Yeah, Green Eyes, I'm looking forward to hearing from him again. It's Juliet. He's a nice lad, but sometimes people don't believe him or are scared of him. Now they say he's been autistic all his life and it was missed. They have no clue, really. I get him to tell you about my friend's house. Yeah, absolutely, Julia. When we do another paranormal night, ask him if he wants to come up. We'll give you some advance warning, and if he's free, it'd be really good. Because especially, I really want Burren Witch to come up again and tell us about her stories. And then, obviously, Porky has come up with a couple of ideas for places for us to go to for our birthday weekend. Not staying over anywhere, just to go for a day, stroke night. And one of the places I think I'll absolutely shit myself. I know I will. I know I will absolutely shit my pants. The other one, not so much, because I have been there before. In fact, I've been to both places before, but the one that I think he looks more interested in going to. I know for a fact you guys will love it, but I won't. I won't enjoy being there one iota. I can promise you that. He goes out Monday and Thursday with family. The likelihood is, Julia, it would probably be a Friday night. If I do it at all, it'll probably be a Friday or a Saturday. Because I'll try and fit it in so that you and Burren Witch are free, and anybody else, Sheila, Simples, Green Eyes, Frida, Kathy Meadow, who else have we got? Lady Witch, all the people who, and Joe and Paul, people who really interested in this stuff. I'll find out when's the best day for everybody, and then we'll crack on with it. No, don't just remember it's only the dark that's scary, nothing else. Okay. Not when I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not going to give it away, but I think when you find out where the places that I think you prefer to go to is, you'll understand why I'm absolutely shitting my pants already. Okay, so my sister, when she was about 3 years old, kept talking about her mum. My mum said to her, "I'm your mummy." She said, "No, my other mummy before." My mum never quizzed her on it. You see, that could be a reincarnation thing, Frida. And you know what? That it's very common. Yeah, I know. And problem is, Burren Witch, this particular place, I don't know anybody who hasn't gone in there nervous. Whether you believe or don't believe, the feelings around that particular place are bloody horrible. They're horrible. Even hardened skeptics, even people who don't know the history of that particular place, you pick up on, it's not good. Not good. I think I think no matter what I do, I'm going to be absolutely terrified. I scared my mum. Yeah, well, what I was going to say then, Frida, was there are a lot of people, a lot of in India who have get these reincarnation instances, and very credible, and a lot of the time they can take these children the children will describe a former family, give names, and they found out that they're still living, and they'll take this child along, and this child will recognize family, friends, children, even spouses. The weirdest thing, the other, so that's that particular race and you know, whichever religion they're practicing, whether it be Hindu, what have you. But the other race or yeah, we'll say race or ethnicity of people with this whole past life experience are people of Celtic origin. Go figure. So I don't know what the correlation is there. I mean, I don't know if Burren Witch, if you know, but or, you know, if you're experienced with the whole past life and reincarnation issue, but I've noticed this the more and more and more I'm hearing about or reading or watching. There's a high proportion of people of Celtic origin that are experiencing, you know, reincarnation and you know, past life memories. Realize now my internet Wi-Fi keeps dropping out. Had to hotspot my phone, can't get back on. Oh, bloody hell. Do you think that's because we're talking about spooky things? I could not get on after, but I could hear, so I replayed later. It was weird how that happened, wasn't it, Julia? Burren lost connection. I think I lost at one point, although I didn't kick myself off. We completely lost you after you went back onto chat. So yeah, Frida, it's quite funny that, you know, you're somebody of a Celtic background, and your sister. I would probably put money that was your sister having a memory of a past life. Maybe you're interested because we've done it before and it reminds us. Maybe. It's I have always fancied having past life regression done, but again, I think unless I could come up or unless I came out with something tangible, you know, something that wasn't known generally but could be researched and proven, that would be that would be everything to me. That would. I've had dreams about looking after children that are mine, but I don't know them, but they're mine in my dreams. Frida, there is a very famous case, and that is in Ireland, about somebody very similar who was having dreams about children. And I think, oh God, I might be getting this mixed up with another one. That this woman being on her deathbed, but she could remember the cottage, she could remember kind of the era, she could remember the kind of the village in the area. So what she did was, and this was a lady from England, she'd never been to, and she knew that this was in the south of Ireland somewhere. She got maps, and because she could basically draw a, you know, a very basic like street map of the little village that she could see in her dreams, and it matched identically to a tiny village in the up the backside of Beyond in central rural Ireland nobody'd ever heard of, and they managed to overlay her drawing of different streets and angles virtually identically to this little place. And out she went. She went out there with an investigator, and I think he was a parapsychologist, and they actually found the cottage that she reckoned that because she recognised it straight. She was like, "Yeah, you go down this lane, you go here, you go there, and then my cottage is at the end." They found this cottage. They did research, and they found that this woman who had lived in this cottage, and I'm sure she died of something like TB. It was something like that. And go figure. Go figure. She was remembering this past life. And I think this lady had lived in something like 1920 or something, turn of the century, or you know, between 1900 and 1920, something like that. She'd lived. And then they managed to find that one of this lady's children, because she had a slew of children, obviously, was still alive. So this lady went along to meet what would have been children from her past life. I mean, how bizarre is that? That's enough to send you kind of spiraling. I heard a story about a woman that's convinced she's been abducted and has since gone back to visit with her alien hybrid children. Sheila, I've heard something similar to that. I'm sure that that woman is doing an interview on YouTube. Or rather, not an interview on YouTube. She's done an interview, and the interview has been uploaded to YouTube. Sorry, just had a telehealth with GP for my presentation. Oh no, don't worry, Green Eyes, it's fine. The man from Turin. Do you mean the Turin Shroud, Julia? One that's supposed to be Jesus. Anyway, while he's talking about that, I don't know whether to get about. What do you think I should do? Should we keep talking about this, and then I can close off with me Richard III stuff? Oh, prescription. I was about to ask you, were you going for a job? Oh, he came from another world. Oh, no, I've not heard about that one then. Oh, but I tell you what, Julia, I listened to that hellhole sounds. Oh, my God. Oh, do you know what? Burren Witch won't have heard that. Julia came up with something the other day for us to listen to, Burren Witch, and it was the Russian hellhole. They drilled this, was it 12 miles down or something? They managed to drill, it's the largest man-made, and they drilled into kind of basically they were trying to go for the centre of the earth, but they ended up, they come into a cavity, and they sent down a heat-resistant microphone, and it recorded 17 seconds before the microphone melted. And because, as you can tell, guys, I've been doing a bit of research on this. And it's screaming. Oh, actually, Frida won't know this either, will you? Because you weren't here. You can hear, and they reckon it's the souls of the damned. You can hear women screaming. You can hear men. I actually found that more disturbing. You know, you can hear the men, it kind of not screaming, kind of the groaning, crying. Awful. Oh, were you wondering what she meant as well, Frida? Flipping heck. Anyway, I'm doing another anyway. You can come and join me in the kitchen because I've gone really cold. I need a cuppa. I'll watch the chat for while this is boiling. And then before I close down, I will finish off me Richard III theory thing. But I think we've lost Lisa anyway, so that's not. We'll probably not get into a big discussion, which is fine. Right, I'll just boil the kettle. I shall move away while it's whizzing about. Hello, Poopy Doopy. Just woke my dog up. Frida, it's this bloody keyboard on my iPad. Listen, Green Eyes, I know, what is it? A poor workman always blames his tools. Oh, Taured. I've not heard that, Julia. How was Cooper settling in his new home? Frida, you know what? Last night, it's a pity that he's. In fact, I don't even think he's listening, because I think his actual streaming has gone on longer, because he's been rather raucous upstairs. But if he was here, Porky would tell you. Last night, we've had a breakthrough. For the first time ever, he didn't get up on the bed. Normally, if I drop off to sleep, if Porky's doing whatever else, he's like, I call him stealth pup. He levitates up onto the bed, so you don't feel him get on. And then I'll hear, like, when Porky's coming to bed, and he'll go, "Oh, bollocks, get off," because he's got up on the bed. He does it every night, every single night without fail. Or he'll jump up at the side of the bed, pawing at you because he wants to come up. Last night, he was in his own bed when he came to make me a brew. He had a little bit of a break, and he came in to see if I was all right. I'd nodded off in bed, and he was making me a cup of tea. And I said, "Where's the dog?" He went, "Down the side of the bed." I went, "What?" I said, "Was he not on the bed?" No, he said, "It's down the side of the bed." And when I woke up this morning, he was in his own bed. It's at the foot of ours, but he was in his own bed. Even when I woke up, which usually is his signal to jump up, he didn't. So we think we've now cracked it. But he's loving it, Frida, because we're so close to the beach. So every morning, me and him are going down to the beach. So I'll do that again in the morning before I go back to the other house to do more packing and cleaning. But he's going to stay here with Porky tomorrow because he was in my way. Oh, hiya, Sid. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. We're just having little bits of chit-chats about things. We've been talking about reincarnation and people being inbred. This is all stemmed from Richard III, which I still haven't finished yet, but yeah. How's Trix? All good, I hope. Do you know what? I'm going to have hot chocolate. I was going to get a cup of tea, but I'm not. I'm having hot chocolate, I think. Oh, and you will have missed this one as well, Sid. You know, we were talking the other night, and Helen Happy Thoughts was saying that she wasn't feeling too good. She's got bloody COVID again. Fancy that. I don't know how she's dealing with that, you know. I really don't. It's like one thing after another, isn't it? Oh, sorry about the stirring noises. Got to keep this chocolate stirring away. Let's have a look through there. Because maybe he's more relaxed in his new home. Remember, he used to bark at the ceiling. Yes, the beach's great for dogs. They love it. Well, I'm just hoping he finds some of that whale shit. No, it's whale vomit, isn't it? Not whale shit. I want him to find some of that to make us rich. Man City failed to win. Who were they playing? Oh, yeah, I forgot you were a Man City fan. Yeah, because I was telling you about Nicky Reed, wasn't I? Being my neighbour. Although he won't be my neighbour anymore. One of the nicest men. For anyone who doesn't know, Nicky Reed used to play for Man City. He's one of the nicest people you will ever meet. For a top-notch footballer, you know, you would think that he'd be up his own arse. No, not at all. He's one of the most humble, nicest, most genuine people you'd ever meet. That's what I was thinking. He must feel settled. Yeah, I mean, it's taken him a week because we've been here permanently now, staying every night for a week. So although the other house is officially still mine until the 20th, we have moved here, you know. There's still some of my stuff at the other place, but we're living here now. But it's taken him a full week. But I did think that eventually he would calm down and kind of get used to it. But he's a bit, well, he's a bit special, is our Cooper. So it sometimes takes him quite a while. Crystal Palace. Well, actually, I know that Porky was wanting me to throw a curse on. I had to throw a curse on Liverpool, and I'm pretty sure, I'm really sorry, I didn't do it actually, but I'm pretty sure that Man City was one of the ones he wanted me to chuck a curse onto. Just so that, you know, with any luck, he could then, his team could get further up the league. Because I think they were kind of near the bottom. They're not at the bottom, but they were kind of getting down there. Oh, I've just left me e-cig in the kitchen. Anywho, right, now I've got my hot chocolate. Come on, Coops, move your bum, lad. Okay. Right, well, while people are just hovering about, I shall carry on with it's worked on City, hopes it works on Liverpool. No, I didn't throw the curse on City, Sid, but I've definitely cursed Liverpool for him. Yeah, but you know who he supports, don't you? I didn't know if he'd told you this when he was in chat one night. Burnley. What the fuck? Oh God, no, he hates United. Hates him. No, Burnley. I'm not a football lover at all, so although I know the names, I've got absolutely zero interest. I like me rugby, and that's about it. I did, also, we did tell you, yeah. I mean, they're not exactly competition, are they? But, you know, he just didn't want to be at the bottom, and he does hate City. Right. Okay. I'm going to carry on for just 5 minutes or so with the Richard III thing. So, if you can all remember where I was up to, they've just declared oh, 1 minute. I'll just read Julia's comment and then I'll carry on with this. I don't know how to put up links. It's bedtime stories from 4 years ago on YouTube, time travel or parallel world if you want to see. The man from Turin and what about Burnley up the Clarets? Dick the shit. Yes, Dickie the shit said. The only interest I had in football was when I used to do the pools. My nan used to do the pools, Frida, on a Saturday. I think, I'm sure, didn't the pools man used to come on a Friday, I think? And then she'd sit there on a Saturday and they'd be reading them out. Was it on the news or? I can't remember. I can't remember, but yeah. And Porky was telling me his mum one week, the pools man came and she couldn't be asked running in for the whatever it was, like was it 30p or something ridiculously low. She couldn't be asked going back in the house to get the money out for him, so she missed off, and she would have won the pools that week. Everything that she, that was on her thing, she would have won the pools. And as you know, it would have been a whacking lot of money. I don't know where, I can't remember when he said it was, might have been in the 70s, something like that. But whatever the winnings were, it would have been a lot of money then. A big fancy cheque for the grand sum of £5. Picking 10x in the photo from the pools man. Oh, I remember. Yeah. Wasn't that where the ball had to be? You had to put a cross where the ball would be. And I know said I'll get him next time he's in to tell the story properly, because I can't remember it. But it was something like she was sat on front step, in a summer evening or something like that, and just couldn't be asked going in for a purse. And went, "Nah, you're all right." And then yeah, she would have won the pools. Tragic. But did I tell all you guys about that? I would have won the well, not won the lottery, but we would have had 5 and the bonus right when it started. And oh God, I lied. We were away and we used to get the same numbers every single time. And I lied and said I'd got the lottery ticket and I hadn't. It was like, "Have you got the lottery ticket?" Yeah, I've left it at home, and I hadn't. And we used to get the numbers, same ones every week, and watching it in the pub, and 5 numbers and the bonus ball. They were all numbers that we had on the tickets. And at the time, it would have been a wodge, and I mean a wodge of money. And my ex was buying everybody drinks in the little pub in Ambleside we were at, drinking, buying everyone drinks. So we've won money on the lottery, and he got wankered. I didn't tell him till we were on the drive home down the M6. He nearly kicked me out at 70 miles an hour in the fast lane. That's how pissed off he was. I don't even know why I lied. I should have just said I forgot to do it. And I didn't. I went, yeah, I've done it. Never thinking for an instant that those numbers would have come up. So that's why I don't do the lottery, because I thought I would never, ever have that kind of luck ever again. I mean, what would be the odds on that? And when, on the few occasions that I have done it, I'll get a lucky dip. I would never use the same numbers again. And I've never won anything. I've not even won so much as a £5. I might get 1 ball if I've ever been lucky. 1. That's the most. So I just don't bother doing it. Oh, your dad used to let you pick him. Spot the ball. That's the one. You can tell I'm not that up, not that into all of these. I'll tell you what else as well. I mean, I used to do the was it premium bonds? That's ringing a bell with me, because I remember when she died, I'm sure my uncle, she had premium bonds. Oh, I can't remember. She had all sorts of things. Oh, anyway, let me shift this dog. Come on, you're in the wrong spot here, fella. Let me sit down, because I need to tell a story. Come here. Come on. I wish you could see how this dog is. He is not for shifting. He's in my spot in the corner of the sofa, and I'm virtually sat on him. I'm trying to make him uncomfortable so he'll move, and no, he's not having it. Right, so I'm going to go back to Dickie the shit. So, the Act of Titulus Regis has been passed. Both the sons of Edward IV and all of the other children that he had with Elizabeth Woodville have been declared illegitimate on the basis that he was pre-contracted prior to marrying Elizabeth Woodville. So that marriage was null and void. It was illegal. Now, this is what the whole sermon about bastard slips shall not take root was about. Richard then was crowned king because even though Edward's children were classed as illegitimate, the next in line to the throne would have been George of Clarence, so the middle brother. He, however, had been executed a couple of years earlier for treason, and because he was a bit crackers himself, and his children, there was an attainted to put on them that they could not inherit. They were removed because of the father's treason. They were removed from the line of succession. Incidentally, his eldest daughter, Margaret, so George of Clarence's eldest daughter, Margaret, who had been removed from the line of succession, she later became Margaret Pole. And was she the Countess or Duchess of Salisbury? Can't remember now. It's Countess, Duchess of Salisbury, Countess of Salisbury. Anyway, if any of you remember when we were talking about Henry VIII quite a while ago, she was the old lady who was being executed for treason and ran around the scaffold with the axeman chasing her because she was absolutely terrified and screaming, and she didn't know where she was, and she was only being murdered, and I am going to say murdered because she was more royal than Henry VIII, and he wasn't having any of it. He was executing the entire family, anybody with more royal blood than he had. So that was one of these children of George of Clarence. That was a little aside. So anyway, they are removed from the line of succession. So the next in line is Richard, the Duke of Gloucester. He is then crowned Richard III of England. He also had a son who did die quite young, but at the time he would have then been the next in line. So these two princes in the Tower had been seen occasionally, not every day, but they had been seen either out in the grounds, practicing their archery, walking around, play fighting, what have you. They started to say that, the boys, had been no sightings of the boys. Now, again, what's true, what's not? A lot of this was written, it wasn't written at the time. It was either written by Tudor propagandists. It was written by, there was an Italian scholar called Mancini who was attending the British court in order to relay the gossips and the goings on back to, I think it was a bishop in Rome, I think. It's either Rome or, some reason I've got Rome or Spain. Anyway, now we're going to fast forward from this point. So, as we know, the princes were housed in the Tower. They remained there after Richard was crowned king. Then, apparently, people stopped sighting these boys. They didn't see them anymore. That's not to say that they were dead, though. It could have been that either they were outside when other people were not around, or that they had been moved and housed in a separate part of the Tower of London. Okay, we'll just throw that out there. Now, fast forward. We've had the Battle of Bosworth. Richard III is killed in battle, and Henry VII takes the throne. Okay. Henry VII, in order to unite the houses of Lancaster and York, had agreed to take the Princess Elizabeth of York, who was sister to the two princes in the Tower, who was the daughter of Edward IV. He had agreed to take Elizabeth of York as his wife, unite the two houses, hopefully stop these two factions of tearing the country apart. In order to do this, he had to reverse the illegitimacy of his wife-to-be. And by re-legitimising her, he would also legitimise all of her other sisters and brothers. So think about that for a second. So he actually did not have any blood right to the throne. Henry VII. So this is Henry VIII's father. He had no right to that throne. Very, very, very tenuous and very distant blood link, going way back via an illegitimate line. But he wants to legitimise his line and any of his children by marrying royalty. And this is what he wanted to do. So he reversed the act of illegitimacy that was upon Elizabeth of York. In doing that, he legitimised, as I said, all his siblings, male and female. Once he'd done that, what do you think would have happened? So there's no longer Richard III. He's dead. His son had died prior to the Battle of Bosworth. He's out of the picture completely. There's attainder against George of Clarence's children. They're never going to ever get back into the line of succession. One, because of the treason of their father, and also because there had been some issue over his mental health. So they were completely out of it. The only living contenders to the throne of England were the children of Edward IV. Not an issue as long as they were declared illegitimate. It was like, a lot of kings had, bastard children dotted all over the country. By their illegitimacy, they were removed from any possibility of ever inheriting a crown. It was the same, for the nobles or just for Joe Public. Your illegitimate children did not have any right to claim anything that belonged to the parents on their death. It just was the way that it was. But unfortunately, Henry has now legitimised his two main rivals. So you've got Prince Edward, who was really King Edward V, and Prince Richard. What do you do? He wants to marry Margaret. He wants to marry Elizabeth of York. She's legitimate. Now both her brothers are. He can't have that. My theory is that it was Henry, or on the orders of Henry, that those two boys were killed. And again, as I've said before, Tudor propaganda being what it was, that things were twisted and the blame was laid at the feet of Richard III. That's my theory. I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm not saying anybody with a different opinion is going to be wrong. But that's what I think happened. Richard III is constantly blamed for the deaths of these children. Scholars blame Richard III for the deaths of these children. I do not think that is the fact. I just don't. Once they're illegitimate, they're no longer a threat. And at the end of the day, they were the children of his brother. Prince Richard was named for him. He had close ties with those children. I genuinely do not think Richard III did it. I think the likelihood is, given what happened, is that it was Henry VII or somebody connected to Henry VII. Sid, dumb move, kill him. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. Seems to me like they manipulated laws, etc., to suit themselves. Look at Henry VIII, chopped and changed his religion to suit himself. Yeah, he certainly did. And what happened, Frida? He died. They said that he never, ever deviated from his Catholicism behind. He might have been excommunicated. He may have gone ahead and declared himself as head of the Church of England, under advisement, obviously, but he was just a diehard Catholic up to his deathbed. He didn't even want Catherine. Was it Catherine Parr, his last wife? It was, wasn't it? She was a reformist. She was following, the new teachings and the way that I'm going to say it then, the Church of England was going, and Protestantism. He didn't want to hear it. He would have done her to death himself. Now, why would he do that when he isn't allegedly a Catholic anymore? Unless Henry knew they were dead, in which case legitimising the family wouldn't matter. Well, it wouldn't, but then we've got the whole thing about Perkin Warbeck, which I don't know if any of you have heard of Perkin Warbeck. And yeah, on his deathbed, declaration was to his Catholic religion. Yeah. Right. Well, here you go, Sid. I'm gonna. Oh, Burren's back as well. Burren will probably heard of this one. I don't know where Lisa is. Sheila definitely will know who this is. I'm sorry if anybody else does, but I'm just going through the people who I think would know. So Perkin Warbeck. At this time, we'll fast forward again. So at this time, Henry VII and his new queen, Elizabeth of York, they have got 2 boys. And they're only little. They're only little tots. A rumour starts to circulate from Europe. And from Burgundy, there are rumours of a prince. And this prince is, well, he's known by the name of Perkin Warbeck. However, he is claiming to be Prince Richard Plantagenet, the younger of the 2 princes in the Tower, that allegedly was swapped out for let's say, a doppelganger, a changeling, a child who looked incredibly like him, and he was smuggled and taken off to the continent, where he went to his aunt in Burgundy. Now, he was then given support by different monarchs across Europe. He was given funding, he was clothed, he was given men, he was armed, and he came over to Britain with the sole intention of getting rid of Henry VII and taking the crown that should have been his. There are a lot of conflicting accounts of what happened when he was finally captured. There are claims that Queen Elizabeth, who would have been his, inverted commas, sister, recognised him straight away, but realising that if he were to take the crown, then what would that mean for her 2 babies? They would probably end up being put to death. There were a lot of people saying that he was the image of his so-called father, King Edward IV. He was very tall, he was fair, he was handsome. What I find really, really telling is that in the end, he was obviously hung. Edward VII had him hung. The night before, or a couple of days before he was due to be executed, somebody came into his cell in the tower at night and beat him to a pulp. His face was beaten to an absolute pulp. He was unrecognisable. The attack was it was just focused on his facial features. This has been said because when he was to then go up onto the scaffold for this execution, that nobody would see the striking resemblance he had to the Yorkist king. So that, in a little nutshell, is Perkin Warbeck. Don't know where he's buried. Could you do DNA testing if you knew where his body was? Absolutely you could. To see if he was, you know, the rightful heir to the English crown. Guess we'll never know. But I've always been fascinated with that story of Perkin Warbeck, because there were tales that Elizabeth Woodville had managed to smuggle one of her children out of the country. Now, the whole account of Perkin Warbeck's interrogation and incarceration prior to his execution was written down by none other than Sir Thomas More, who was a young man at that time in the court of Henry VII. He later became an advisor to the adult King Henry VIII before he got executed himself, but that's another story. So again, propaganda, properly. Could he really have been the Prince Richard smuggled out? Absolutely. Because by rights then he would have been, if it was the prince, would have been King Richard IV. So yeah, if any of you don't know about Perkin Warbeck, check him out. Do a little, I mean, I'm not a great lover of Wikipedia. However, it should give you a little bit of, a bit of a concise background on it. So yeah. Yeah, and the thing is though, Frida, the royal family, they're very reticent to give permission. People have asked and asked and asked. They've asked about testing the skeletons of the two boys that were found in the Tower of London, because they found them below a stairwell, didn't they? And they were thinking that, because these boys look like they would be around the correct ages. But, they also need to do carbon dating on them to see which period they're from. So they could do that. They could dig up the bones of Edward IV just to check if there's any truth about this legitimacy or illegitimacy claim that he wasn't the son of Richard, the Duke of York, and was in fact the bastard son of a French archer named Blaeburn. Just all the possibilities if they just let you do. And they're like, why won't you let people just check? I mean, you think really if it had been maybe the royal family that had dug up Richard III and have found it, rather than an archaeological society, and rather than it being a privately funded, or rather, sorry, than it being privately funded by the Richard III Society, who had managed to get the majority of the funds together, would they have allowed the DNA testing that the university carried out? Because they were able to establish through the DNA testing that, this was actually Richard III. Like keeping it in the closet, it could dethrone them. Well, yeah, because there's that guy in Australia, isn't there, he is actually entitled to the throne more than Liz. Although he's not interested. He doesn't want to be a king. So yeah, and it would absolutely end the monarchy. It really would. It's like, do you know who else I would love to get DNA tested? Well, I bet you can all guess, don't you? Somebody living, just to see who his dad really is. I'll give you 3 guesses. And his name begins with H. Yeah. Oh, yes, ladies. I mean, you have to admit there is a facial similarity there, is there not? That's just ginger bollocks. You just look, don't you? You go, how can you not see it? Yeah, it's pretty damn obvious, isn't it? Oh gosh. Anyway, before I get done for treason, so did anybody else? I'm back. Was listening to Carter chat. No, don't worry, Green Eyes. So did anybody else listen to that? Yes, Frida is absolutely not like him whatsoever, and a lot like the other chap. Did anybody else have a listen to that hellhole sound then? The Russian hellhole. I'm trying to think who was in here that night. Green Eyes, you were, weren't you? And uh, 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 oh, Denny posted, didn't she? I think Simples and Sheila, were you guys here? Honestly, can't remember. But I found a documentary on it, and I've been watching it. I just kind of watched it in bed on my phone. And it's, well, did you know, Green Eyes? What they did was, oh, Sid, it's really, the other night we got, Julia said, she just asked, has anybody heard the hellhole, the Russian hellhole? And they drilled, it's actually the deepest man-made hole in the world. They drilled down, it was something like 12 miles towards the center of the earth. And they, as they were drilling down, they hit a cavern of some sort. Oh, thanks, Green Eyes. ER said Green Eyes is going to grab the link. They hit a cavern. And so they lowered down this heat-resistant microphone, because obviously where it was, there was going to be a lot of heat. And I think apparently it was something like 2,000 degrees in this cavern. They managed, as they sent this heat-resistant microphone down, it managed to grab 17 seconds of audio prior to it melting. The 17 seconds of audio are awful because it is the screams of the damned. You can hear women, you can hear men. It's absolutely horrific. It's only for 17 seconds. But they say it is that this actually drilled into the bowels of hell. So we were discussing, saying, I wonder, if anybody knew geology, if they could maybe, is there any possibility that it could be some geological phenomena? But it just doesn't. It really does not sound like anything other than human voices. It's so weird. But what I found quite fascinating, Green Eyes, is that on that documentary, Did you see how they basically pulled the building and scrapped all the equipment, and it's buried that hole? And I was thinking, why? Because the Russian geologist that was talking, he was saying, you know, a lot of this machinery was not only incredibly expensive, it was also rare. And it was basically reduced to scrap metal and dumped on top of the hole. Oh, Greenhouse, Sid's just asking which of those links it is. It's not, you're not full of useless info, Julie, because I'd not heard of this. I hadn't heard of it at all, and I thought it was fascinating, but it did disturb me listening to it. The actual recording itself, though, Sid, is only 17 seconds. Yeah, that's it. They capped it and left. They capped it. They pulled down the building on top of it, and but why? That's what I'm saying. Why? That to me smacks of like that Zach Baggins, who or Bagins, however you say, from Ghost Adventures. He bought that demon house. They went into it. They did the paranormal investigations. They realised something was there. They thought that the house was actually built over the mouth of hell. And what did he do? He bulldozed the whole house. They sealed it off so that nothing else could come through from that portal from hell. I wondered, is that why they capped that in Russia? To stop anything coming out of it that they really didn't want to? It just makes you think. Anyway, so me having done a little bit of research on that, if I come online on Wednesday night, do you fancy, like I said, it'll just, I might do a couple of hours. They needed to go by nap it, yeah. You absolutely would. Yeah, I crap myself near enough listening to it. So I was thinking if I do come on Wednesday night, I'll not promise in case anything goes wrong at the other house, but if I come on Wednesday night, I was going to see, do you fancy having a bit of a discuss about the hellhole and some of the Middle Earth theories that Green Eyes has been talking about, and Frida and Sheila and Simples? You know, all the stuff with Antarctica and the potential underwater. Um, oh, is that for me, Sid? Or is that for Julia needing to go buy the nappies? So that's what I was thinking, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. If I do that Wednesday night, we can have a bit of a discussion, because I'm really I'm getting into watching these little documentaries on this hellhole and finding out a bit more to talk about. You read somewhere that right down further in the centre of the earth, it's full of water. Right. I've not heard that, but who's to say? Well, do you remember that film, that journey to the centre of the earth? And it was like another, it was another realm that was full of dinosaurs and things. It was a really old film. I remember it being on one time, and I had a watch of it. I mean, it was a bit naff by today's standards, but Green Children from the Village. What's that, Julia? But yeah, I could do that, and then if anybody wants to come up and have a bit of a natter, um, I remember that film. Yeah, it was. Oh, I can't remember when it was on. It was like dead late one night. You know when there's nothing on at all, and I was like flicking through. That's what they say is at the centre of the Earth under Antarctica. I wouldn't be surprised. The thing is, where do the ideas for these films come from? And there's that guy, and God, I can't remember his damn name. 13th century fella. Oh God, me and Porky were talking about him the other night. And basically, back in the 13th century, he described cars, he described submarines, he's described weapons of mass destruction. And I can't think of his bloody name. Because Porky was like, how did he know that back then? I said, yeah, but look at Nostradamus. But he said, yeah, but this fella can go into it in really great detail. It's not like Nostradamus could be a little bit ambiguous with some of the things that he said. You know, he'd get them nearly right, like Hitler, but he was calling him Hister. But yet he was drawing the swastika and yeah. All right, I'll have a look at that then, Julia. Thank you. Antarctica is incredibly mysterious, but it's like we were talking about the bloop, that noise that is coming out from underneath the underneath the ocean. You know, what is that? Is that homing beacon? Is that a set signal? It's just bizarre. I was thinking of the blue people and thought of some Oriental people are depicted as blue in paintings. Oh, the ones I was on about the other night, the blue men of the Minch. I wonder though. So, are they actually people though that they're depicting? Are they not like gods or something? But again, with the blue men of the Minch, there's a lot of different theories on it. 80% of the oceans have been explored. Yeah, well, we were talking about like the Mariana Trench, and you know what the hell is down there, and you just don't know because there's been a skeleton. It was like a deep sea like an exploratory camera was sent down, and on the ocean bed they found bones, and it looks like the spine of what is possibly some form of either a sea serpent or maybe something along the lines of a plesiosaur, although there aren't any flippers found. I mean, it could be some kind of an ancient whale as well. But yeah, that kind of got us talking about the Mariana Trench and what could be down there. And that film, The Meg, and how, but yeah, it's great stuff. I just love the mystery side of things. The other thing that I was quite interested in as well was I couldn't say it then, the Bermuda Triangle. I used to be so frightened of that as a kid. Absolutely terrified, and I didn't think that it was just confined to Bermuda. I thought it was everywhere. Just one of those things that when you're a child and you blow things out of proportion in your head. Yeah, that was me with the Bermuda Triangle. So there's just so many things you can talk about, isn't there? Interesting things. And yeah, I've got like I said, can't find my notebook at the minute, but I've got a list of different topics and things that I really want to go through that I think you'll all find fascinating. And obviously, a week on probably Saturday, we may very well, unless it's horrendous weather, be out broadcasting a shit Barry Manilow's. Oh my God, yeah. The Bermuda Triangle, that's where people disappear. I know that because my dad used to sing it. He used to sing as, oh, what was that fella's name who sang Pretty Woman with the glasses on who couldn't, I think he was blind. He used to like doing versions of that as well. So, guys and gals, I am going to, before I get, because I am tired and I'm up again very early in the morning to go and do more house sorting, and well, I'll need to walk the dog first and do some house sorting. So how do you reckon if Roy, that thank you Green Eyes, I couldn't remember his name. Oh, Woolpit Village Green Kids, I have give you some for now, I will shut up now. No, Julia, I think I know about that one. Wasn't it a boy and a girl, and they looked completely confused, they didn't speak English? Now that you've mentioned Woolpit Village, I think that's, because I'm sure, isn't that the one? The longer that they weren't used, they didn't understand food or what have you, that was available. It was a couple of 100 years ago, wasn't it? But the longer that they stayed in the village, the green colour started to go. So they reckoned it was possibly something that they were eating in whichever dimension they had come from. I'm sure they were screaming or something, weren't they, when they were found? They were absolutely terrified. And I know a lot of people have said about those green kids. Yeah, yeah, I remember it now. Now that you've mentioned it, I do remember it. And they were reckoning, people reckon that they've come through, like fallen through either a rip in a dimension or were aliens or something. But yeah, they were absolutely petrified. But the longer they stayed here, and they went to a normal colour, so they reckoned it was whatever they were eating, wherever they had originated from, was what was changing the skin to a green colour. But because they weren't eating it any longer, they went back to normal colour. I sometimes do remember stuff as I go as I go along, because I don't half watch them shite. If I'm bored and I get onto YouTube, or I just start Googling stuff, and I'll Google like mysteries or strange things, and then I watch all manner of shite. But I do forget that I've watched it. But yeah. Wow, it's like Arthur C. Clarke on here. I know we're getting a bit weird, aren't we, Sid? Just I like doing weird and wonderful. I'm actually, hang on a second. I'll just see if I can get my my tablet to work. Bear with me a second, because if I do, oh, here we go. Right, I'll tell you all about the. Yeah, it is definitely the same ones that I watched something on this. So the Green Children of Woolpit, right? I'll do this before I log off for the night. So the legend of the Green Children of Woolpit concerns two children of unusual skin colour who reportedly appeared in the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England, sometime in the 12th century. The children, brother and sister, were of generally normal appearance except for the green colour of their skin. They spoke in an unknown language and would eat only raw broad beans. Eventually, they learned to eat other food. They lost their green colour, but the boy was sickly and died soon after. And died soon after he and his sister were baptized. The girl adjusted to a new life, but she was considered to be rather loose and wanton in her conduct. After she learned to speak English, the girl explained that she and her brother had come from St. Martin's Land, a subterranean world inhabited by green people. The only near contemporary accounts are contained in William of Newbury's Historia Rerum Anglicarum and Ralph of Coggeshall's Chronicum Anglicanum, written in about 1189 and 1220 respectively. Between then and their rediscovery in the mid-19th century, the green children seemed to surface only in a passing mention in William Camden's Britannia in 1586, and in two works from the early 17th century. Two approaches have dominated explanations of the story of the green children: that it is a folk tale describing an imaginary encounter with the inhabitants of another world, perhaps subterranean or extraterrestrial, or it presents a real-life event in a garbled manner. The story was praised as an ideal fantasy by the English anarchist poet and critic Herbert Reed in his English prose style, which was published in 1931, and provided the inspiration for his only novel, The Green Child, which was written in 1934. Now, the actual story. At harvest time, one day during the reign of King Stephen, which was sometime between 1135 and 1154, according to William of Newbury, the villagers of Woolpit discovered two children, a brother and sister, beside one of the wolf pits that gave the village its name. Their skin was green, they spoke an unknown language, and their clothing was unfamiliar. Ralph reports that the children were taken to the home of Richard de Calne, and Ralph and William agree that the pair refused all food for several days until they came across some raw broad beans, which they consumed eagerly. The children gradually adapted to normal food, and in time they lost their green colour. The boy, who appeared to be the younger of the two, became sickly and died shortly after he and his sister were baptized. After learning to speak English, the children, Ralph says just the surviving girl, explained that they came from a land where the sun never shone and the light was like twilight. William says the children called their home St. Martin's Land. Ralph adds that everything there was green. According to William, the children were unable to account for their arrival in Woolpit. They had been herding their father's cattle when they heard a loud noise. According to William, they were the bells of Bury St. Edmunds. And suddenly they found themselves by the wolf pit where they were found. Ralph says that they had become lost when they followed the cattle into a cave, and after being guided by the sound of bells, eventually emerged into our land. According to Ralph, the girl was employed for many years as a servant in Richard de Calne's household, where she was considered to be very wanton and impudent. William says that she eventually married a man from King's Lynn, about 40 miles from Woolpit, where she was still living shortly before he wrote. Based on his research into Richard de Calne's family history, the astronomer and writer Duncan Lunan had concluded that the girl was given the name Agnes and that she married a royal official named Richard Barr. Neither Ralph of Coggeshall nor William of Newburgh offer an explanation for the strange and prodigious event, as William calls it, and some modern historians have the same reticence. Now, let's have a little look. They're talking about... now, they reckon that this could be the garbled account of a real event, although it is impossible to be certain whether the story as recorded is an authentic report given by the children or an adult invention. Study of accounts of children and servants fleeing from their masters led Charles Oman to conclude that there is clearly some mystery behind it all, meaning the story of the Green Children. Some story of drugging and kidnapping. So, I don't know what you think of that. I mean, some people have suggested that the children may have been aliens or inhabitants of a world beneath the earth. In 1966, an article was published in the magazine Analog. Astronomer Duncan Lunan hypothesized that the children were accidentally transported to Woolpit from their home planet as the result of a matter transmitter malfunction. He suggests that the planet from which the children were expelled may be trapped in synchronous orbit around its sun, presenting the conditions for life only in a narrow twilight zone between a fiercely hot surface and a frozen dark side. He explains the children's green coloration as a side effect of consuming genetically modified alien plants eaten by the planet's inhabitants. Now. Oh, hi, Mrs. Mercury. No, I didn't get a notification. Oh, no. Freedom, Mrs. Mercury, you can catch up. Kiss, I'm sure we'll leave this live up. Yeah, always do, lovey. I always do. So, oops, sorry about that. I just dropped my phone. So that is the Green Children of Woolpit. Don't eat any more greens. Well, normal people, they just make them fart, don't they? But no. The two little chilter ended up green, little green beans. They're like the corn on the cob, the Jolly Green Giant. I love little stories like that. But yeah, I couldn't remember all the details to it. But yeah, thanks for bringing that one up, Julia. Hi, I know, thank you. I'll catch up when you finish. Yeah, well, we started off, Mrs. Mercury. I was going to talk about Richard III, just one of my theories. It was only a little bit of a chit chat, just to divert myself from house moving. But we've ended up talking about all sorts of things. I think we talked about reincarnation. Then we went back to Richard III. Then we talked about deformities from intermarriage and marrying your close relatives. And as you've just heard, we've been talking about little green people. So as always, lots of crazy stuff. So I've just been saying I'm going to come back on. Were you in the other night when we were listening to the Russian hellhole sounds? Because I'm going to come, not tomorrow, but Wednesday night. I'm going to come back on probably about the same time, 7:30 for 8, and we'll have a bit of a chat about the Russian hellhole and the Middle Earth theories that Green Eyes was discussing, and Frida and Simples, and also about the, potential habitation under Antarctica and under the ocean, and what these things could be. So if you're up for that, I'm going to try and do that on Wednesday. The War of the Roses, I'm going to do next week. I probably, after Wednesday, I very probably won't get online until after Sunday, or Sunday at the very earliest. So yeah, I'll try and do. We can have a bit of an interesting chit chat about all things weird and wonderful. And obviously, if you come up with, anybody's got any topics, like I know Julia comes up with some really good things, like that one then with the green children. Anything like that, if you want to throw it out into the chat on Wednesday night, and I'm happy to. If I know about it, I can talk about it. If I don't, or if anybody wants to talk about something, you're welcome to come up. Or just chuck stuff out into the chat, and if I can get my tablet to work, if I don't know about it, if I can get my tablet to work, I can look it up like I've just done with the green children. So if you guys think that that's okay, I'll put a reminder on my phone in case I don't get a notification. It's weird, isn't it? I don't get notifications. We have Frida considering it was going to be an hour and a half about Richard III. That's why I love you guys, because it just gets so random. I love it. Although I kept forgetting where I was up to. Easily distracted. I'm very easily distracted. But thank you all, because it's been really good, you all joining in. I love it. I really do. And I like how, people bobbing in, bobbing out, and then someone else will bob in and bob out. But yeah, it's great. I did have a little bit of a rant at the beginning, Mrs. Mercury, because some moron has doxed, well, they're claiming that our Green Eyes is someone that she isn't. They've used a photograph while they're having a rant about someone else. They've used Green Eyes' photograph as though she's that person. So yeah, I had a bit of a whinge about that right at the start. So we kind of got a little bit embroiled in drama, but not for very long. But yeah, we're not having anybody having a go at our Green Eyes. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna call it a night because I need my beauty sleep, because I'm looking like some. Yeah, Frida, well said. Hang on. There we go. We'll get that one up. I always forget that I can put things up on my screen. There are, Mrs. Mercury. There are. Bloody gobshites. Absolute gobshites. It's just, if you want to do drama on your own channels, and stick to shit topics, bloody dragging other people in when we're all off doing our own things. So yeah, as Frida says, leave Green Eyes alone. Bog off. Nobody cares what you've got to say. Right, so Green Eyes, nighty night, night night all. Right, lovelies, I'm going to, on that note, bugger off, go and get some sleep. I hope you all have, wherever you are in the world, a fantastic rest of your night, rest of your day, afternoon, whatever. And hopefully, if any of you can make it, I'll see you on Wednesday, and we'll have... Oh, he's here. Hello, gorgeous. You've made it just in time to see somebody's been picking on Green Eyes, so we've had a bit of a rant, Porky. Someone's had a go at your greeny eyes. Good night all morning all. Nice chatting with you. Yeah, so it'll be just thank you, enjoyed the live as always. Oh, thank you, Frida. Who's picking on my green eyes? Well, the woman her name is Space Monster, but I've called her Space Cunster because she's been mean. She's used Green Eye's photo claiming that she's somebody else, so crazy bitch. Just somebody trying to stir up the shit on in another little corner of YouTube, but making a bit of a fuck up of it. But the problem is that shit sticks, so you're going to have morons thinking that Green Eyes is somebody that she's not. So yeah, we're not having it. So as Frida says, leave Green Eyes alone. Green Eyes, are you still there, babe? Look what's going to come up on the screen. Well said, Porky Walks. Don't be a cunt, all of you like, take today off. Well said. I think she might have gone. She's probably missed that one, Porky. I'll screenshot it at her and I'll screenshot it and send it to her on WhatsApp. Oh no, she's got it. There she is. Right. Yeah, we're not having anybody having to do it, you doodles. No chance. God, my voice is going here. Right. So on that note, maybe she didn't want me to rip her head off and shit down her neck. Oh gosh. Right. So on that note, I shall catch you all on Wednesday. We will do the Russian hellhole. We will do Middle Earth, Under the Ocean, Bermuda Triangle, Antarctica, and everything in between. So thank you all so much for coming in. It's been lovely to see you all and take my mind off being stressed. And yeah, I hope you can all, and Mrs. Mercury, set your alarm, mate. Otherwise, I'll be drying up to Pulteney Filed. I'll be driving round in the car, shouting out the window, going, Mrs. Mercury, I'm going live in half an hour. In Porky's car, might I add, because mine's blown up and gone. Right. On that note, I am buggering off. So thank you all so much for coming in. And I will see you all on Wednesday. So take care. And as always, see you all on the bright side. Night, everybody.